All right, welcome to episode number 65 of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast. I am your host, Triple J. Joining me is my co host, Dr. Games 101.
Hey there, guys. What's going on?
And we're going to do what we do every other Saturday talk about the latest news in gaming. You ready to start?
Yes, indeed. This is we interesting news about Microsoft Activision.
All right, yep. All right, so let's start. First story up. European Union reportedly preparing to challenge Microsoft's Activision Blizzard deal. Perhaps another complication for Microsoft. The European Union is reportedly planning to submit a statement of objections to Microsoft regarding its acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Sources familiar with the matter told Reuters that Microsoft is likely to receive an EU antitrust warning regarding its $68.7 billion acquisition of the Call of Duty and World of Warcraft publisher, adding to the growing list of organizations raising concerns about the deal. The statement of objections charge sheet is expected to be set in the coming weeks, though Microsoft has seemingly maintained that it's confident in the deal's success. We're continuing to work with the European Commission to address any marketplace concerns, it said. Our goal is to bring more games to more people, and this deal will further that goal. The deal has been scrutinized elsewhere as well, including by various U.S. senators, the City of New York, and the U.S. Justice Department, and finally headlined by the Federal Trade Commission suing to block the deal in December. The UK's Government Competitions and Markets Authority was also forced to extend its investigation into the deal earlier this month due to its complexity and the lengthy responses provided by both Microsoft and Sony. In one of these responses released earlier in October, Microsoft essentially said that PlayStation is too big to fail even if it did acquire these games, and that Sony already has way more exclusives anyway. So, what do you think about another? What do you think about another company trying to block the Activision deal?
Well, it's Sony, right? That's has its concerns about that deal. So,
No, this is the European Union.
well, European Union is actual like an entity of itself as far as like a organization, not an actual company. But what's the difference, right? So,
Yeah.
because the European Union has been around for at least what 30, 40 years now, and it's supposed to be like this big, entity where it controls everything in Europe, obviously. So they kind of like overdoing it. Like I understand there's international concerns as Activision Blizzard has dealings in Europe and all, but if they really want to, they can block their own territory from the Activision Blizzard deal and just leave it here in the North American area. Personally, myself, if I'm the one starting to make that deal happen between Activision Blizzard and Microsoft, I would let them and see what happens because it's business is business. You can't just interfere with the process. I mean, of course, it sounds like a monopoly and all. Like in the end, it's like who are you trying to overtake what? And that's how it is for decades. I mean, back 30 years ago, was it what's it called Time Warner Cable and AOL, which was supposed to be bought out and merged with Time Warner. Now it's called Spectrum now, because at one point it was called Time Warner for about a few years, about prior to that. So I guess you could say that the European Union is overstepping their bounds. What they should do is actually because they have regulations like the PEGI board and stuff like that with the review of certain games. So that's all you should do for the time being. Let it be known that whatever games coming out of Activision, Blizzard, and Microsoft, let that happen, and that's it. As long as you don't overthrow the European Union itself. I mean, I don't know how's that possible, but I don't know. Yeah, there's too much control over things lately. I just didn't want to make sure they're not being screwed over by within the country and all with the taxes and buying their products, things like that with Activision and Microsoft. But in the end, it is a business. So
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, as big as Call of Duty is, Call of Duty is not the end all be all. I mean, what World of Warcraft is that even still a thing?
oh yeah.
I mean, there's, say Sony did lose Call of Duty, but Microsoft said they want to bring it to Nintendo and Steam if they get the rights to it. Well, then, I mean, it's again, it's like there's no positive as long as they follow through on what they plan to do.
hmm
even said, we want to bring this to more platforms, not less. And everyone keeps it's and everyone just still like it's like those plans fall on deaf ears. Everyone
Yes,
thinks
indeed.
Microsoft is going to do what they think Microsoft's going to do, not what Microsoft says it intends to do.
Sometimes the actions can be speak as loud as words at times. Now, of course, yes, actions speak louder than words, but there are times people will say they're going to do something, they say they're going to do it, and they do it.
Right.
Well, which company was it? What company was it where they said they're going to do something with certain deals and such? I mean, was it companies like I can't think of the exact company right now, but I know one thing is certain that there are times in business, especially if you see the CNBCs and the Bloomberg stuff like that. CEOs will come out in the open, tell them, "Oh, we're gonna buy this, we're gonna buy that, and such and such," and then weeks, months, years later, they do because they just don't have the time for it, or they try to take their time with the matter. So
Yeah. So I mean, the European Union. It's just it's. I mean, I I keep reporting on it because I want to know what ends up happening with this deal if it ever eventually does go through.
right,
But it's it's just like so many hands in the pot, and those hands don't need a pot. Microsoft wants to buy it. If Sony wants to buy it, they should have the right to buy it also. I'm talking Activision Blizzard. If not, and Microsoft is saying we're not taking Call of Duty away from anyone, you know what? Give Microsoft a chance. Because the thing is, if Microsoft says we're going to bring Call of Duty to more people, and then they do make it a Microsoft Xbox exclusive, their credibility is going to be destroyed.
right,
So it's kind of like, ever since they came out publicly saying we won't bring it to Nintendo, we won't bring it to Steam, we won't keep it on Sony, we won't keep it on Xbox, it's kind of like they have to do that now unless it's something out of their control. If Steam says we don't want Call of Duty for whatever reason, they can't force them to take it.
hmm
But, if Xbox says no, we're going to make it exclusive, their credibility would be destroyed.
yeah,
And that would hurt their business more than any acquisition, or that would hurt their business more than any acquisition any other company could get.
hmm
So I just think again, a lot of people are getting involved when they don't need to.
yeah. Sony, that I've been hearing for years, decades, even almost, of Sony. They're like the backstabbers of any business deal when it comes to the electronic gaming sphere of business. And so basically, if you want to do deals with Sony, they'll backstab you here. But with companies like that of Microsoft Xbox, they just want to have their hand in the gaming industry for like what 20 years now, almost over. So it's kind of like Sony. Like it's if you really just want the one that's so badly, why don't you bid for it? Make it a make a bigger bid. Oh yes,
Right.
oh sure they did bought one gaming studio for about what $3 billion. That was like how many months ago though? So
Yeah, Sony and Microsoft were buying up studios, and no one was saying jack. I mean, these deals were going through crazy fast.
oh
That's
yeah,
why it's so crazy that this one's taking months, and this looks like there's no end in sight. At least at this time.
oh yeah,
Ready to move on?
yeah. I'm ready.
All right. Next, that's coming up later. Microsoft lays off 10,000 people. Cuts reportedly include Xbox and Bethesda. Microsoft hired more than 75,000 people since 2019 and is now scaling back. Microsoft is cutting more jobs this week, with CEO Satya Nadella confirming 10,000 layoffs during what the executive described as times of significant change. The job losses reportedly affect people at Xbox and Bethesda, in addition to Microsoft's wider teams at large. In a memo to staff, Nadella said that 10,000 layoffs, which amount less than 5% of the company's total workforce, or more than 220,000, will take place beginning today, January 18th, through the end of its third quarter of fiscal year 2023. According to the New York Times, Microsoft hired more than 75,000 people since 2019 to help meet demands for growing interest in online services and cloud computing due to the onset of the pandemic. This is just the latest round of layoffs at Microsoft, as Nadella eliminated around 25,000 jobs between 2014 and 2015 as a result of abandoning the company's Nokia business. It's important to note that while we are eliminating roles in some areas, we will continue to hire in key strategic areas. We know this is a challenging time for each person impacted. The senior leadership team and I are committed that as we go through this process, we will do so in the most thoughtful and transparent way possible, Nadella said. The CEO did not say which departments within Microsoft are affected, but Bloomberg reported that Microsoft's Xbox and Bethesda divisions are affected in some capacity. A spokesperson for Microsoft declined to comment about if the layoffs affected Xbox when approached by GameSpot. Bloomberg's Jason Schreier noted that several employees indicated Halo Infinite developer 343 Industries was hit hard. Explaining the job cuts, Nadella said they stem from Microsoft's making adjustments to its business in response to the pandemic, looming recession fears, and advancements to AI technology. First, as we saw customers accelerate their digital spend during the pandemic, we're now seeing them optimize their digital spend to do more with less. We're also seeing organizations in every industry and geography exercise caution as some parts of the world are in a recession and other parts are anticipating one, he said. At the same time, the next major wave of computing is being born with advances in AI as we're turning the world's most advanced models into a new computing platform. Nadella said he is confident that Microsoft will emerge from this stronger and more competitive. Microsoft will make strategic investments as it looks to future growth, with AI being one of the pillars, while the company will also divest in other areas, Nadella said. These are the kinds of hard choices we have made throughout our 47-year history to remain a consequential company in this industry that is unforgiving to anyone who doesn't adapt to platform shifts, Nadella said. Microsoft will incur a $1.2 billion charge due to severance costs for outgoing employees, as well as changes to our hardware portfolio and the cost of lease consolidation as we create higher density across our workspaces. Nadella described the job cuts as difficult but necessary, he said. Affected employees will receive Microsoft's full support, and this includes above-market severance pay, health care for 6 months, ongoing vesting of stock awards for 6 months, career transition services, and 60 days notice before termination for those not yet notified. This applies to Microsoft workers in the U.S. Affected workers outside the U.S. will receive benefits aligned with local employment laws. For Microsoft's latest quarter, the company earned $50.1 billion in revenue, which was up 11%, and made a profit of $17.6 billion, which was down 14%. So, and looking ahead, Microsoft is reportedly going to invest $10 billion into OpenAI and continues to try to acquire Activision Blizzard for $68.7 billion, as we talked about. So, what do you think of all these layoffs happening with Microsoft? I mean,
well, even though Microsoft decided to buy the Activision Blizzard deal for how many billions now, 70 billion, and laying off workers and make a $50 billion market for the matter, I think they contradicted themselves now on this one. And I'm not saying that I don't know the whole intricacies of Microsoft as a business. No one does outside of Microsoft, but still, it's like between Phil Spencer and Major Nelson and Bill Gates and all, I think they know what they're doing with these companies, with their companies like Xbox and now Activision Blizzard soon to be. But still, it's like I know that I know the whole we don't know the whole details of what they're trying to do. Obviously, it's whatever's on record from Microsoft and Xbox on the inside. That's what's from them. But they just be either too greedy or just overconfident, or both even. And
we're also thinking of Microsoft. The way we're looking at it, or at least you're looking at it, is like Microsoft has one thing, their hands in one thing. Like they said, the Nokia phone division, that's being hit hard because Nokia phones. Honestly, I thought Nokia was just as relevant as N-Gage. I thought Nokia phones were dead.
Right.
Since they might be now, that would understand. Hey, if they're getting rid of the Nokia phone division, if that whole phone division is housed in one office or multiple offices, and only the Nokia division is in those offices, if they're letting the Nokia phone division go, why do they need to keep the offices that houses that division?
Yeah.
That so like they said, Nokia phones is getting hit hard. They weren't specific with anything else, so it's not like they're in. It's not like the Microsoft as a whole is in financial distress. It's just it looks like they said there are certain parts that they're not going to need so many employees anymore. Like I said, I thought Nokia phones was already dead. Maybe I was wrong about that.
Still relevant, most likely. It's like with track phone. Track phone has been in business, during the economic crisis and all, and had to increase sales due to the Obama phone program, they call it, back in 2008 and all. So I guess you could say it's a hit and miss between each company, because obviously, in dire straits of what event is of that today can be of a treasure for the next day. So I guess Microsoft's trying to play their cards right too, in a matter as well what you've been explaining.
Right. And we don't know. I mean, they did say Xbox and Bethesda, but maybe, like you said, maybe they hired too many people and now they just don't have jobs for those people. So, they got to trim the fat, which any company really has to do.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to say that they can't do that. It's just that after $70 billion later, it's kind of like if you can spend that much, I mean, you can spend a little more than yourself, because then again, they don't want to overspend too much. So it's like a hit and miss. But companies like that of what's it like Sony? I mean, Sony and PlayStation and all. I mean, I think they are doing their due diligence, try to make sure, like you said before, they try to balance out the justification of things, the juxtaposition you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's like they want to like create that good balance between the two head honchos, which is Xbox, Microsoft, and Sony PlayStation. And yes, they're like the top tier in the business of gaming, but one of them got to try to outdo the other. So it's kind of like it is what it is so far. So for the time being.
Yeah. So, I mean, and they also said they're investing more in AI, which, a lot of with, so, I mean, and then they said that with all the people they have to lay off, they're going to have to pay over $1 billion in severance packages. So,
It's actually not bad.
and
It's 10,000 workers for 1 billion. That's actually not bad for them.
yeah, and they also the thing is, it's not just the workers. Like I said, if they're getting rid of offices because certain divisions had an office just for them, and that division's being cleaned out, they probably have to end the lease on the office, or they have to continue. As far as I know, the way leases work, like uh, when you lease like an apartment or something, you have to pay all that money, even if you're not going to be living there anymore. Like if you move out before the lease is up, you still have to pay, however long the lease is in effect for.
Hmm.
So, like if they're getting rid of the office and they lease that office space, they're still going to have to pay whatever was left on the lease.
Oh yes.
So there's that. And they did say anyone still working there that will be eventually cut is going to get 2 months' notice before they are cut
Hmm.
going forward. So, yeah, it sucks, but Microsoft isn't the only company laying off people.
I
We're going
guess
to.
if I can say this, though, I guess you could say that there's been signs and rumors of a recession coming sometime this year or at the end of
Yep.
this year, and I guess Microsoft's trying to soften the blow a bit before it's too late.
Yeah, that's true. That there's been rumors of not even at the end of this year, like quarter 3 of this year,
Hmm.
like somewhere like in the end, like the middle of summer to the beginning of fall. Um, a recession looks like it could hit, and I hate to say it, but look, who got us into this mess over the last 2 years.
Yeah, give me more stimmy checks, give me more, you know,
Yeah,
give me that. Now, it was several stimmy checks. We should be getting more of that for Ukraine money. The Ukraine, I think the presidency want to give, excuse me, about $50 billion to Ukraine during this Ukraine Putin war, we're gonna call it. So
with how much has been given already.
yeah. And
So
this is one video of this homeless man with some guy in a suit. They've been doing this for like the last few weeks now. They've been going to Congress. Well, this video is calmer, but they went to Congress like, "Where are you, politicians? Where are you?" And then the homeless guy was like, "Give me that Ukraine money." It was funny. When, it, when there's this was also another video that the same people that did it, they were like the homeless man was half naked, and then the guy in the suit was like trying to go into this random office. I don't know what the office was about exactly, but they're like, "Excuse me, sirs, and the gentlemen, the ladies, can you tell me more about your company? Why you laid off so many workers?" And stuff, and then the homeless guy was like trying to flop his arms around and shit like that. And he was like, "Yeah, you just ready to give us that money? Give us that money!" And a group of these workers came together and just blocked them out of their offices behind the glass door with the security card and stuff like that. I don't know how they got inside, but they also got a leaker or someone in on the inside to bring them in, and it was funny. And the homeless man was losing his pants and all.
Oh, jeez.
Because it was a group of people fighting these two guys, the one in the suit and the half naked homeless guy.
Yeah, but the thing is, the money's got to come from somewhere. That's what people don't understand. Why are we paying so much for food than we were during? I mean, that's the thing that people don't understand. We're paying for so much more now for groceries than we were during the actual pandemic when people weren't working.
Oh yeah,
That should be a warning sign that things are a lot worse than they were just a couple of years ago.
indeed.
So, and it looks like other companies are feeling the effect. You ready to move on? Because we're about to hear about another company that's felt this.
Oh yeah, like that of GameStop and all. GameSpot actually.
I think so. I think that's next. No,
Alright.
Riot Games.
Okay, no.
Riot Games lays off 46 as wave of games industry job cuts continue. League of Legends developer says layoffs were part of our normal course of our business. Riot Games has laid off 46 employees amidst an ongoing wave of industry mass layoffs. The League of Legends developer confirmed to journalist Jacob Wolf that it had eliminated the positions which were largely concentrated in the company's talent acquisition, recruiting, and publishing departments, as well as a few roles in esports and support. Riot employs roughly 4,500 people globally. In a statement to the Jacob Wolf report, a Riot representative called the layoffs part of the normal course of business. Riot Games implemented strategic shifts within a few teams to sharpen our focus in a number of areas. With these shifts, certain roles were eliminated, impacting a total of 46 rioters. This is part of our normal course of our business. We periodically make changes to our structure and our teams based on what we believe will allow us to deliver the best content and experiences for players. We never make these decisions lightly and will always start from a place of wanting to retain rioters and have them focus on our highest priorities. While that's not always possible, it's our primary goal. Riot additionally noted that it continues to hire and has over 150 open positions on its website. Riot's layoffs come amidst a much larger wave of ongoing layoffs across tech and media that continue to impact the game sector. Early this week, game engine maker Unity laid off over 200 employees. Yesterday, Microsoft laid off 10,000 employees, including those at the Coalition, 343 Industries, and Bethesda, while Amazon laid off 18,000 more. Earlier today, Fandom laid off between 40 and 50 employees, including editorial staff at both Giant Bomb and GameSpot, just months after it acquired the sites. So, Riot Games having to, they're hiring for one part of the business, but they had to let people go on the other part, which is, I guess, you know, I guess that's just part of thing. After you're done, you might have a job, you might not.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Um,
And not to mention, I just looked up just now. I was just trying to reconfirm myself. I know that I heard Riot Games before. I didn't know what's behind making League of Legends. You figure after how many decades of this game being out and all, and I've heard of League of Legends since I was like a teenager, and never got much chance to get involved with that game specifically. But they make how much money over the last 10 years now, at least. And I've seen promos on YouTube of Riot Games doing with the League of Legends and all. You figure they should have enough money to cover these costs for their workers and all, but I guess not. And also the fact that they've also been affected like that out of the Activision Blizzard, when it comes to reputation of their sexual harassment and other harassment claims against the company, allegedly speaking. So it's like just
Not
a double blow to that.
not to mention Activision Blizzard is also the developers don't know if they're going to have a job next week.
Really,
They're just being told work on the games now, and we'll worry about what happens when we cross that bridge.
right? Yeah, I mean these games get more expensive and they increase in price in games, which is justified. But at the same time, there's people like who are like younger than us. They don't like to be paying for that monthly subscription to play online and such. That's why they stick with PCs, like the ones who are very well noted in PC gaming. And I can't blame them. Like PC gaming is like the way of the way of means for God knows how many decades of gaming. I mean, the only reason why console gamers, at least the people who play consoles like myself, or perhaps even you, Triple J, is because it's cheaper and also it's already ready made and able to play the games with no problems of up to that date or updated at the moment. So like the games like Tekken, for example, Tekken 7, or yeah, Tekken 7 now. We're up to Tekken 7 now, where if you try to play it on the Xbox, yes, it's a lesser population than of PC, but with the Xbox version, it's like more of this proper loading of the matter. It's not frozen, it's not delayed, it's not. There's very few crashes, nothing of that sort. Whereas if you play on the PC, you lack the parts there to play the game. Then it's like such and such. It just crashes and things of that matter. If you don't have the right PC parts, that is. So you know.
Yeah,
So I can
I mean,
understand. Yeah.
but I mean, it's like I said, it's just some of it is due to jobs ending because either they're not continuing games or they're not continuing certain games. Oh, thanks for the follow on Twitch. Can you roll your eyes back and make them go fully white like the Undertaker? I'm a WWE fan. No, I can't do that. I would do that if I can.
Yeah, I don't even
I'll
think
try. Nah, I wouldn't even know how to. So,
you probably mess up your eyes in the process. Yeah, I think I probably had to take a several times to practice. So
yeah, but thanks for the follow. Yeah, so I mean, it's just it's a difference between game projects ending. If that game's not successful, they could move a developer team to a different game, but they can only do that for so many people.
right,
So, and then, like I said, Microsoft is focusing on different things. So, like, since they're not focusing on Nokia phones, that department got hit hard
right,
with layoffs.
right,
They can't just take someone from Nokia phones and be like, okay, you're developing such and such now. Yeah, and it's just hitting hard. Ready to continue or anything
yeah.
else to add?
I'm good for now. Let's move on.
All right. Next, Google lays off 12,000 staff. Microsoft laid off 10,000 earlier this week. The ongoing wave of tech industry redundancies continues as Google has announced it's laying off 12,000 staff, the
God damn.
largest in company history.
God damn.
CEO Sundar Pichai announced the layoffs in a blog post saying that Google had previously hired for a different economic reality than the one we face today, and that jobs would be cut across a variety of different departments. This will mean saying goodbye to some incredibly talented people we worked hard to hire and have loved working with, Pichai said. I'm deeply sorry for that. The fact that these changes will impact the lives of Googlers weighs heavily on me, and I take full responsibility for the decisions that led us here. Employees affected in the U.S. have already been notified, and Google is paying them for the full notification period of 60 days, at least 16 weeks' salary in severance, their 2022 businesses, bonuses, and vacation time, and giving them 6 months of health care alongside access to job placement services and immigration support. Pichai remained hopeful for the future despite the layoff, saying that difficult economic cycles are practically an expectation for a company as old as Google. He also emphasized its early investment in AI as a strong foundation to move forward from. Thanks to those early investments, Google's products are better than ever, and we're getting ready to share some entirely new experiences for users, developers, and businesses too, Prachai said. We have a substantial opportunity in front of us with AI across our product and are prepared to approach it boldly and responsibly. Google isn't the only company facing redundancies at the moment. As we said, Microsoft laid off 10,000 people, including people from a few different departments.
Hmm.
So, um, yes. So, well, are you surprised Google had to lay off as many people as it did?
Well, it's not surprising at the same time. Not really. It's a mixture of both, like surprised and not surprised, because Google never really made as much money for the last several years now because of YouTube hemorrhaging it through their YouTube partner programs and the lack of ads being posted on YouTube for quite some time now, thanks to the CEO Susan Wojcicki. Not saying she's solely responsible for YouTube's decline in revenue, whatever. It's just that her decisions kind of screwed up the company in the long run, because YouTube is based on user generated content. It's not just some TV programming like you see on TV with like NBC and NBA and what's called Bloomberg, etc., etc. These are just people like you and I, like on YouTube, making content from scratch. We're uploading, we're editing, we're entertaining, we're informing the crowd and things of that matter. And if you mess that up, thanks to what Chicky's decisions making them were like, for the last several months, not like years. Good luck
I'd say
trying to,
years.
yeah, years at least years. Good luck trying to bring those content creators back, or those people who go to your website for the authentic, original, quirky, unpredictable content. You're not going to find it on YouTube for the last several months now, because it's been censored by monetization. Like, if you don't follow the monetization rules, then you're not going to get the money, which is no big deal. I can understand. YouTube used to be not about money. It was about the more people make your content, the better the site will maintain with the advertisements and all. That'd be great. And what's so funny? The advertisements, clients and these entities like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Microsoft, you name it, whoever these companies are that ask for any ad revenue, they actually have like standards all of a sudden, like they're righteous, whatever, knowing that they'll sponsor a movie of kind about, like, blood, guts, and violence and sex and drugs for God knows how many decades. Coca-Cola is one of them, and then good luck trying to have them, be on YouTube to user generated content like us, you and I, Triple J, because you used to be on YouTube too yourself, and you realize thanks to COPA, thanks to all these anti-privacy, anti-social like programs, and laws. It's like we decided to not make as much on YouTube and go to like other websites like BitChute, Billy.TV, which you can see me on there. I upload some videos there. What
Right.
else? Those websites.
Rumble,
Yeah, Rumble. Yeah,
which is built on free speech.
yeah.
The whole reason I left YouTube, I still have my account for people I'm subscribed to, but the reason I took all my videos off is because people were even saying, "Oh, you don't have enough of a fan base where you're going to make money off the YouTube partner program, so you're one person who doesn't have to worry about this." I'm like, wait a minute. So if I do continue striving to get to the YouTube partner program, it's going to become a hindrance when I do finally achieve it. What's the
Hmm.
point in working towards a hindrance?
Hmm.
So yeah,
Especially sure.
that website, Billy, I've had problems with it. They just weren't accepting my thumbnails. I don't know if it's like the wrong. It had something to do with like having to resize the thumbnail, and I just didn't want to go through it. So I do have an account there, but no videos.
Yeah, I have one video there, my promo for 2018. But other than that, you know, I understand your situation on Triple J. It's ridiculous where Google slash YouTube, the YouTube specifically, they had this YouTube for since 2005, and 2006 was made public, directly to the general public and all, and it made a big difference in entertainment and production value, things of that matter. So you see, for the last 5 years, these YouTubers now have their own high production value. Worth of sense. Now there's some people who are low budgeted, like me, for example, who does whatever we can do. But we still look at making authentic, original content whenever we can. But at this rate, though, like, if no one can watch our videos, what's the point after all? And that's where Google and YouTube, created their own little stake to the heart. It would fuck them up.
Yeah, I just think Susan Wojcicki's been a cancer to YouTube, to be honest.
Yeah, they were doing
Um,
okay. The founders of YouTube, those three guys, the what, two white guys and the Asian, I forgot their names. I'm sorry, guys, but like these guys made a big difference in the way how it in media is formed, whether good or bad. It still made it was prospering to some extent. But then when Susan came in 2016, all not all hell breaks loose, but little by little, we got the Vox with Gay Wonk guy. That's his username on Twitter, by the way. Gay Wonk. No, don't harass him. But he actually sued Steven Crowder and all, and then they made a create this apocalypse again. There was apocalypse back in 2016 or something like that when what you came about. So I was like, okay, no big deal. So people can see my videos about 100 subscribers. I get 50 views at least. That'll be great. Now you see on my 7,000 subscriber channel, and I only get like 30, 40, maybe 50 views per video in a lifetime. And that's a big hindrance, a big cut to quality of the content. Now it's like, what's the point of making videos if it's like that? If you can't see them. So
yeah, not to mention, especially when the partner program was open to everyone, and then someone had to show a dead body in a video, and then everyone who didn't do anything wrong, they just had a small fan base, got kicked out of the partner program. And it's like, oh, well, we're raising the qualifications needed to join the partner program. It's like, yeah, that person that actually did something wrong, probably these new qualifications probably don't hurt that person.
of
He
course,
probably can still stay in the partner program.
you refer to Jake Paul, right?
Huh?
You refer to Jake Paul, Logan Paul, right?
Yeah.
All right,
Were these the two clowns that
dead
did that,
body.
or?
Yeah, the dead body in Japan.
Yeah, so yeah, Jake Paul, Logan Paul. Do they really have a problem finding 1,000 subscribers to subscribe to their YouTube channel? They probably get more than that, and then on every podcast episode they do.
Mm-hmm.
And YouTube said we're going to talk to them. Yeah, I'm sure it went in one ear and out the other.
And yeah, and it's also they make money on their part. The Paul brothers, they're good. They're good in their situation.
Yeah, but they kicked out a bunch of subscribers or a bunch of people that didn't do anything wrong, and that was something I didn't like either. I mean, it should be, we should be based on our individual actions, not the actions of one. Make many people suffer the consequences.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that was that. I know we're talking more about YouTube when this was Google, but Google does own YouTube. So like when I hear Google's doing bad, which is pretty hard to think about to begin with, you kind of look at YouTube because YouTube hasn't really been making money.
It never
And,
did. And to be honest with this situation, YouTube itself as an entity, YouTube LLC, they never made any money since God knows when. It's been so many years now. And they've been hemorrhaging money. And yes, even though they have TV services, they have live services, you're able to monetize your chats and stuff like that. It makes a difference. You get 50% of the cut of every chat that you put out there to the audience or whatever. But other than that, it's still losing money, and also screwed up on Stadia program, the Stadia system they've put in place. Which if they wait for another 10, 15 more years, it'll be very perfected if they keep at it. So, but they were too early on with Stadia, Google, and they should have just waited another several years at least to practice, craft, and formulated the perfect streaming gaming service. That'd be great right there. But
yeah, I wonder how much money Google lost on Stadia having to shut down.
yeah, that's just cause and effect right there.
So I mean, that's probably some of these layoffs in the 10,000s. That was probably the Stadia staff or the whole Stadia department.
Yep. It's a give or take. Like just because the fact that Google makes us a multi-billion-dollar company, people think that and people think that they're like the internet of the world and shit like that. Whereas they just like they take a good portion of the internet. That doesn't mean that they're gonna save their 10,000 plus workers or whatever staff that they have to cut right now. So
All right, ready to move on?
yeah, I'm ready.
All right, next. Marvel's Avengers to be delisted in September as development comes to an end. Crystal Dynamics is ending support for its struggling live service game. A little more than 2 years after its original release, Crystal Dynamics is preparing to end active development on Marvel's Avengers, a decision it says it undertook in conjunction with our partners. According to a blog titled Final Update on the Future of Marvel's Avengers, support will discontinue on September 30th, after which digital purchases will no longer be available. All solo content will continue to be playable after support ends, and multiplayer will also remain available. Crystal Dynamics did not plan to release any new stories, features, or heroes, making Update 2.7, which added the Winter Soldier and the Cloning Lab Omega Level Threat, the final content release for Avengers. Spider-Man will remain a PlayStation exclusive. The final balance will be up. The final balance update will be update 2.8, which will be released March 31st. Afterward, Crystal Dynamics says it will turn off the cosmetics marketplace and credits will no longer be purchasable. Credits balances will be converted into in-game resources and all cosmetics will be made available for free. A mighty disappointment. We called Marvel Avengers one of E3 2019's biggest disappointments when it was first revealed, and it fared little better when it released the following year, earning middling reviews from players and critics alike. It soon saw a major drop in player count as players grew bored and moved on. Crystal Dynamics continued to release new content, including several new characters, but it never regained momentum after its troubled launch. Community insider Miller Ross first broke the news that Marvel's Avengers would be shutting down and that the team would be moved to Amazon Games' Tomb Raider project. The report also claims that Crystal Dynamics fired lead designer Brian Wagner after a series of tweets from 2014 were unearthed in November, leading to a public disavowal from the studio. Reached to comment on the report, Crystal Dynamics provided a link to the blog and did not issue any further statement. We know this is disappointing news as everyone in our community has such a connection to these characters and their stories, Crystal Dynamics wrote on its website. We're so grateful that you came on this adventure with us. Your excitement for Marvel's Avengers, from your epic photo mode shots, to your threads theorizing who our next heroes would be, to your Twitch streams, has played a large part in bringing this game to life. Is this something we should have seen happening?
Yeah, after 2.5 years almost.
I mean, they said that. I mean, it's almost this was almost a foregone conclusion, just like Stadia failing. So, I mean, I know that sounds mean, but at the same time, it's really not a surprise, at least in my opinion.
After a while, even though like the majority of the player populace or the gamers that sees this Avengers game can at least come together and conclude that majority of us can say that by fact that this game is not a great game, even though it's just an opinion overall, but still it can be a fact as well eventually.
Yeah. So I mean, I played the Avengers one more time. That was the last time I played it. I was in some mission as the Hulk. But it's like you had to sneak stealthily as the Hulk.
What?
Not as Bruce Banner, not as David Banner, as the actual Hulk. No, but if I'm playing as the Hulk, I want to smash people, not get eviscerated by a robot.
Just destroy the robot with your thunderclap of Hulk and shit,
But I mean, that I played that one time, and I was like, I'm done. If playing the Hulk is not a fun experience, what could be left?
Yeah, that's that. Just from listening to what you just mentioned for the last minute or two, it's like that's what it's like in Avengers video game. I thought it was about the repetition of the enemies and all, but no, it's just stealth as the Hulk. What's that about?
Yeah.
Why can't it be stealthy like the Nightcrawler guy from X-Men and shit like that? Let's bring that guy into the Avengers and shit like that, to make it look that authentically.
While the X-Men are Marvel, they're not Avengers.
But still, like it's still part of the Marvel universe in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
But I know that's like a special guest right there if we put Nightcrawler in or whatever. But that can be suitable and feasible for a self mission of Nightcrawler, at least, But I just don't understand that concept of put the Marvel's Avengers the game. How you just want to stealth with the Hulk. The Hulk is the size of a fucking store. You know.
Yeah, I don't know who wants to sneak around as the Hulk. I mean, they did it in the Hulk games, but when you were sneaking around, you were David Banner.
Yeah.
You weren't in the you were in your human form.
I mean that's like trying to how to sneak into the CIA headquarters. And you're over 6 feet tall, and you have a build of that of like Triple H and all, and you're like it don't have no camouflage on and shit like that. Like it doesn't work like that. I know it's just a made up concept, but still.
And they got these spotlights going on, and like I said, when you get to this robot, it eviscerates you in 10 seconds.
Shit, dude. It was a Splinter Cell, the first game. That's what it's like with that guy in Splinter Cell. I've got the character's name already. I forgot his name. I think it's Gene or something, or not Gene. Yeah, I'll think of his name later. But still, the CIA agents are trying to infiltrate the CIA headquarters, concept reasons, the project reasons, whatever. To see how high tech the stealth missions are and stuff. But it just doesn't make any sense with the Hulk, though. All right.
Yeah, so with levels like that, I'm not surprised Marvel's Avengers failed. Honestly, I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did.
I'll definitely try it out the game for at least an hour. If I do a recording with you guys, if I can get my hands on it. I heard it was on the Game Pass or something like that.
It is.
Yeah, so I'm gonna definitely download and play that sometime next month with you guys. Hopefully.
All right. Hopefully you do the mission I did, because
right.
You think with Marvel Ultimate Alliance they could do a great game. We just really need a beat 'em up where we're beating up bad guys as the Marvel cast or the Marvel's Avengers heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And not this but yeah. So I mean, it's shutting down, and but they said it will still remain playable for the 4-digit fan base that still plays it.
Mm-hmm.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Next. John Cena main events WWE 2K23. WWE 2K23 has been unveiled, and for some strange reason, 2K decided the cover art will feature a blank picture instead of a wrestler. I kid, of course. This year's cover superstar is the 16-time world champion and master of implied invisibility, John Cena. As for features so far, the biggest new addition is War Games match type, WWE's version. The dual ring double cage match can be played 3 versus 3 or 4 versus 4, single player or online. 2K also teases a unique new take on the documentary style 2K Showcase mode, which of course highlights Cena's career. I'll talk about that after I read this. My GM returns in expanded form. Well, couldn't return in a recessive form. It was almost bare bones in the last game anyway. My faction is getting online multiplayer, and the story-driven My Rise universe and creation modes are back. For the Creation Suite, custom arenas are now playable online, and entrances have more customization options. Another trailer, which will share more information and gameplay, will premiere during tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. As for the roster, here's the short list of confirmed superstars thus far. Bad Bunny, who's a pre-order bonus. Batista, Brock Lesnar, Cody Rhodes, John Cena, Randy Orton, Ronda Rousey, Roman Reigns, Stone Cold Steve Austin. WWE 2K23 comes in 3 versions, each pictured with exclusive cover art, as you can see in the gallery above. The standard edition runs for $70 on current gen consoles and $60 on last gen. You can also grab a cross-gen edition for $70 that gives you both versions of the game within the same console family. Additionally, those who pre-order the standard and cross-gen digital bundle get the Bad Bunny bonus pack, which includes Bad Bunny as a playable character and Ruby tier Bad Bunny My Faction card. The Doctor of Thugonomics flavored deluxe edition sets you back $100 and includes the standard edition plus the following extras: Bad Bunny bonus pack, season pass for 5 post-launch DLC packs. So basically, all the DLC that comes out after the game's released. My Wise Mega Boost and Supercharger, Ruby John Cena My Faction Evo card, Gold Edge My Faction card, Emerald Bianca Belair My Faction card, Gold Oscar My Faction card, 3 basic premium launch My Faction card packs, and 3 days early access. Finally, the Icon Edition runs for $120. It boasts art by original cover art by Rob Schamberger and boasts everything in the previous editions plus Ruthless Aggression Pack. Features early developmental versions of superstars such as John Cena's prototype character, Leviathan Batista, along with the rookie Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton. John Cena Legacy Championship, WrestleMania 22 Arena, Emerald Paul Heyman My Faction Manager card, and 3 deluxe premium launch My Faction card packs. WWE 2K23 will be available on PlayStation and Xbox consoles and PC, and the full launch is set for March 17th. You can read our review of last year's game WWE 2K22 here. Okay, I did see before a couple hours before we went live, I saw a trailer explaining how the showcase mode is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to get into that now?
Yeah, why not?
All right. Well, what they said. Let's go back to 2K16. 2K16, they had the Stone Cold showcase going through his WWF career. They had a couple matches from WCW and ECW.
Mm-hmm.
2K19 was the next time we saw the showcase mode, and that was Daniel Bryan's career. You know, they picked certain matches from his WWE career, and you had to play through them. 2K20, and then 2K20 was the most notable matches about the Four Horsewomen, and then 2K22 was Rey Mysterio's career.
Mm-hmm.
What they're doing with 2K23, John Cena basically goes about how he debuted on June 27, 2002. That's the first time he walked to a WWE ring, and he failed because his debut was against Kurt Angle.
Right.
And John Cena goes, I suffered defeat many times. Cena goes, but he goes, but I've lived by 3 words: never give up. I want those victories back. So basically, what it sounds like they're going to be doing with this showcase mode is every big time match that Cena lost, you're going to play through. You're going to play through Cena's debut match. You're going to play through Cena and Rob Van Dam at ECW. They even have gameplay footage of Cena and RVD. So they're probably going to have the ECW One Night Stand 2006 arena, and Rob Van Dam looks as a playable character. So you're probably going to go through that.
Oh, yeah.
When John Cena lost to Batista, like at SummerSlam 2008, when Cena got injured, I think Batista won that, if I'm not mistaken. And you're going to have to play through that match. So basically, instead of playing the notable matches during Cena's career, you're going to play the times where he lost. And you're probably going to have to rewrite history.
Okay.
That's what I got from the trailer.
Okay.
So, with that information, what do you think? Do you think this is a interesting way to go, or
For any hardcore wrestler fan like myself, especially from like 10, 15 years ago with myself, that'll be a big must game type of game to play. The 2K 2023. Personally, myself, for the last 10 years now, I haven't followed as wrestler as much. All the thing I remember is from like wrestlers like Rey Mysterio, Kurt Angle, Kane, Undertaker, The Rock, Triple H, you name it. All back 10 years ago plus. But now for the last 2 or 3 years, like I see wrestling shows here and there, but they don't call my interest like they used to. So it's kind of like, I hope that with this game, what you're referring to for the last couple of minutes, will be like a big takeaway to buy this game and see how good it is. But the one thing I don't like about these very recent 2K games now is the microtransactions, because it wasn't like that with the SmackDown vs. Raw games. If you think about it, with SmackDown vs. Raw, you earn all your stuff. Like in SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, I still have the copies to this day. If you beat everything, not every match, but if you beat certain matches throughout the entire year's worth of that season, then you get unlimited season points, whatever it's called, to make your creative characters. So you can make as many characters as you want, up to like 30 of them, and then you can max out your stats with these characters depending upon their skill sets and attributes. So I guess you could say that was a give and take, a big take on that, like a must have game to be more exact. I was sure there was SmackDown vs. Raw 2004, 2000, and 7, and so on and so forth. But 2006 was the first ever SmackDown vs. Raw game that actually had the whiplash effect, or the whiplash move. And any wrestler can do that shit. If you press and hold the triangle button, and then use the directional pad towards the turnbuckle, you whiplash your opponent, and it'll just hit the turnbuckle and go downward, go down to the floor. And this wrestler.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'll do a gameplay of it sometime this year. Hopefully, I make some time for it, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Because I still remember the moves and stuff. Like you meet John Cena, you meet as Steven Richards, you can still do that whiplash, it's called. So Steve Austin goes through that matter too when you go up against like certain wrestlers. Even though he had a neck injury, he had a neck injury. Well, he didn't have a neck injury back in 2001, right? So prior to 2001, you'll see Austin doing these turnbuckle whiplashes to himself, whoever his opponent is, and he does something like that. But not as much as he used to until 2001, 2002, and by 2003, he retired Stone Cold Steve Austin from the ring. So
Right. Right. Well, honestly, when I found out that's what they're doing with the showcase, because I first saw the trailer during Raw's 30th anniversary. I'm like, wait a minute, that's Rob Van Dam's singlet. Is Rob Van Dam in the game? What's he doing in the game? And sure enough, it looked like something like the ECW One Night Stand 2006 arena, where Cena's taking on RVD. Yeah, so it looks like basically you have to write write the wrongs of John Cena's career instead of just playing through his most notable matches, which actually honestly does interest me. That's the only interest I have. So like, I'm not, I'll probably wait till it's a free play day, but like when it's a free play day this year, I'll definitely download it just for that mode.
okay,
The other stuff, my GM was bare bones compared to SmackDown versus Raw from like a decade and a half ago. So I don't care about my GM mode.
oh
The
yeah,
universe, if they add something new, then maybe, but it's got to be some, it can't be an incremental upgrade. It's got to be something worth going out to get to the game if I'm going to get it.
yeah,
It's got, and the card packs, I have no problem that, again, that's microtransactions, but I would just get whatever cards I got for free and screw it. I really don't care about the card microtransaction aspect of it, which I wish they wouldn't do. Because they said in 2K22, it looks like what they spent the most time on was the My Faction card microtransactions. And the thing is, unless these cards carry over, which it doesn't sound like they do, what's the point? Because when you switch to the next version of the game, the next year's version, you got to start all over with these card packs anyway.
wow,
So it's like, what's the point?
yeah. You mentioned to me. Actually, I was a YouTuber too who confirmed this. I think I'm not sure which 2K game it was, but the recent 2K games before 2022 and all, the microtransactions were so minuscule, in progress. Like if you want to earn it by yourself, it takes a very very long time to earn it. Now, if you want to pay for it, it's like what, for $4 or $5 here, $3 there, or something like that for getting the colors or whatever of your wrestler for the wristbands or some shit like that. I don't over exaggerate with that matter, but it was something where it's like you buy certain wrestling accessories for your wrestler, it costs like $5 here and $5 there and stuff like that. It's like Halo Infinite with that game. They'll ask like $20 for a skin on special price, and who the fuck wants to spend $20 on a skin? That type of shit.
Just like WWE, the insult to All Stars. What was it? Battlegrounds. You could create like 5 grand wrestlers, and then they wanted you to pay for it.
Wow.
And I mean, you could, to be fair to Battlegrounds, you could spend in-game currency because you got currency even if you played exhibition matches.
Right.
So like anything that would cost money, you could get. You could anything that costs money, you could get just by playing the game and earning in-game currency.
Of course.
But the thing is, the story was so boring that it failed. That I played maybe a few matches in it. Um, and yeah, I just don't like these card packs because it's going to be like gambling with the other 2K sports games.
Hmm.
That's what they're trying to bring over with these my card packs, and I was hoping they would just cancel it, but no, they're really going hard on this one on this year also.
I see.
So, anything else to add, or ready to move on?
I just want to say though that John Cena is a very notable player and game and also wrestler in WWE history. You got the five knuckle shuffle and the you can't see me and all, and he has that gangster mentality that I see in the hood or where I live. People call it the hood, and I was born and raised in Queens, New York. So like the way John Cena acts is like that. Like what happened like 30 years ago, with my perspective and all, and living in the ghetto, supposedly speaking. That's just a fraction of the matter. John Cena put like in 2002, the first couple of years wrestling for WWE, John Cena looked like an actual good gangster wrestler of sorts. So I was talking about him at first, but then all of a sudden, as years gone by, it's like he's not doing any more rapping, he's not doing any more of this and any other thing, and he also also left the WWE, if I remember correctly, too, right? So
Yeah, he comes back for like one match a year.
okay. He's like a part-time wrestler for WWE, I'm assuming.
Yeah, because he also has a Hollywood career.
Of course, and the fact that he also had injuries for the last 5 years almost, certain injuries that affected his performance.
I don't think so, because I mean, like he was fine in 2014. Last time I really paid attention, um, I don't remember him having injuries because he had a rivalry with Bray Wyatt, at least the first half of the year. So I don't think it was injuries. I think, but Cena was just, it's basically, he's held the world title 16 times, unless they were going to make a story where he chases title number 17 to get past Ric Flair's recognized title reigns. What was left for Cena to do?
Yeah, you're right. He can also be a good uplifter for new wrestlers. Like he'd be like start his own gangster faction. Like he tried to do with what's it called? Because when John Cena started wrestling, he had a partner called B Square. Remember him or B2?
Bling Bling Buchanan. Yep.
Yeah, and he could have been a better wrestler if he was more hip to the rapping culture, whatever the fuck he was doing. But
to be honest, that never really worked. They tried that with Bling Bling Buchanan. When John Cena got rid of him, they had Red Dog, which was Roddy Mack.
He went with
first gimmick.
Jesus that street fight in 2003.
Yeah, that was the last time we saw Jesus.
Yeah, he got his ass kicked. It was
Although
the street fight was not that bad.
I like that barbaric gangster Cena side.
Yeah, that's what I like about Cena. After the last couple of years, like up until like 2013, 2014, whatever, it's like, yeah, I think I'm done with watching wrestling for now.
Yeah, so I mean that was the best because it was so different than what anyone else was offering.
And
But
the fact that WWE turned their ratings of PG since 2009. So
yeah, so I mean that's when they changed the FU to the attitude adjustment.
yeah,
Um,
F you Cole, F you. Remember
So-
that was Taz?
yeah.
That was
So I mean,
cool.
but anyway, yeah. So I mean, I don't think it was injuries. I think he wanted a career in Hollywood because Cena was doing almost any movie that came his way.
The Marines. I think we took part in the third Marine movie.
No, he only did the first Marine.
Really?
Yeah,
But
I know. Randy Orton did the sec. I think Randy Orton. No, that was 12 rounds. But the Miz did the latest Marine movie.
Okay, so John Cena was the pioneer of that Marine movie.
Yeah, but since that was a WWE Studios, that was everybody gets a turn.
Right. Okay, no problem.
All right, so ready to move on?
Yeah, ready.
All right. Next.
Hold on. You can still speak. I'll just hold on for a second. I'm hearing something in my hallway.
Yeah, I'm hearing it in my headset too. Okay, that's better. All right. 343 hit by layoffs and key departures says it will keep making Halo games. 343 Industries will continue to develop Halo now and in the future. When Microsoft as a when Microsoft, a company that made $198 billion in revenue and $83 billion in operating income in 2022, made the decision to axe 10,000 workers last week, a number of those came from their video game operations, particularly 343 Industries, the overseers of the Halo series. 343, hit now by a combination of layoffs and key departures, does not appear to be in good shape.
Okay.
The layoffs in 343 shouldn't have happened, and Halo Infinite should be in a better state, former Halo Infinite multiplayer designer Patrick Wren tweeted Wednesday night. The reason for both of those things is incompetent leadership up top during Halo Infinite development, causing massive stress on those working hard to make Halo the best it can be. Even prior to yesterday's layoffs, 343 Industries have been facing wave after wave of high-level departures as Halo Infinite struggled to ship new seasonal updates and features on time. The most notable was studio head Bonnie Ross' departure last September. More recently, multiplayer director and longtime Halo veteran Tom French revealed he was leaving in December. And yesterday, amid the chaos, Bloomberg reported that director and longtime Halo writer Joseph Staten was headed to the Xbox publishing side of the business as the studio made the difficult decision to restructure. Those hits led to reports last week that development on future Halo games was going to be handed off to outside studios, with 343 being relegated to a supervisory role. Reports that have seemingly led 343 to tweet the following statement on the official Halo account, denying them to an extent and saying 343 will continue to develop Halo now and in the future. It says Halo and Master Chief are here to stay. 343 Industries will continue to develop Halo now and in the future, including epic stories, multiplayer, and more of what makes Halo great. Pierre Hintz, studio head. That's a short statement that does nothing to address the report that other studios could now also be making Halo games, which isn't that new anyway, given Creative Assembly's work on Halo Wars. Nor does it address the scale of the layoffs it was just hit with, but it does at least affirm that 343 themselves will be directly involved in some way in the series' future. So, what do you think, saying, regardless what happened to 343 on Microsoft's side, Halo's not going anywhere?
Oh, I have to say, for the last several months, at least, they've been lacking in content. So that's one of the reasons why they're at layoff now, because they're losing revenue from all the quality of how the game was been portrayed as since the release. And
well, I'm not just talking about Halo Infinite. I'm talking about Halo as a whole. Like they said, don't worry, the Halo franchise isn't going anywhere.
Really, okay. I mean,
Yeah, Halo Infinite, it's just been their last game, but they said, like, don't worry, it's Halo's not dying.
it's not gonna be the same though, because I heard that 343 Industries had half of the Bungie staff went over to 343 back in 2012. You figured that they'll stay long enough, but I guess not. So it's like the quality of Halo game has gone down since Halo 5, in my perspective. And I'm not trying to say that they cannot make a Halo game, but based on their performance and maintain these games, it's kind of like they're not the same interest like it once was with Halo 3 and Halo 2 and all. So it's kind of like who are they fooling? 343 and all. I mean, I'm sure they've reduced the microtransactions a bit, like trying to make sure people earn them instead of just keep on buying $20 here and $5 there, and I know that's how they make their money. But if you make a good quality game, you don't have to worry about using microtransactions. People will still come to your game. Like Master Chief Collection, for example. People still go to that game even though years after that horrible launch back in 2014 of December. I was one of those guys who bought the game back in a month after it came out, and I still played it ever since. Yes, there were problems with the servers. Yes, it took up almost 30 minutes to find a match and such and such. But now with its population being dense and all, being consolidated, now you can be able to find a match at any given time on the social aspect of the game. As anyone matchmaking come back between after what 2 or 3 o'clock, and then by 1 o'clock in the morning you just stop playing the rank and all. So it's still good to still play the Master Chief Collection. Thank goodness. But Halo Infinite, I haven't played that game in at least what 2 days at least now. So I usually play every day of some kind of Halo, but now it's like I can't, as I used to.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to see a Halo Wars game anytime soon again. There's already two of them, but they said that was made by a different studio with 343 overseeing
Okay,
what they were doing. Um, so like a different developer and 343 just being in a supervisory role could happen. But if you were worried that we weren't going to get any more Halo games, uh, it looks like you don't have to worry about that.
right.
Anything else to add, or
I'll be all for today. And for the situation at large.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said I misspoke. I said that'll be all for this situation for this current topic.
Okay, so ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Next, Xbox Game Pass is losing four more games very soon. Say goodbye. As it does on a regular basis, Microsoft is removing more titles from the Xbox Game Pass in the near future. At least four titles are leaving the program on January 31st, according to a notification that popped up in the Xbox Game Pass app seen by GameSpot. The four games leaving on January 31st are Telling Lies, Donut County, Worms WMD, and Taiko no Tatsujin, the Drum Master. Microsoft has yet to publish an official post about the newest removals from Game Pass, but news usually breaks first from the app. Keep checking back for more. As usual, Game Pass subscribers can save 20% on titles when buying them outright, so that's a silver lining should fans want to keep playing after the removal date. This is the second wave of removals for Game Pass in January. On January 15th, six titles got cut from the library, including We Happy Few, Deanna Crucis, Windjammers 2, Paparazzi, Nobody Saves the World, and Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. Game Pass has so far added three games in January 2023, including Monster Hunter Rise, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 3 Portable. As of January 24th, Game Pass added three games and removed 10 so far this month, for a net reduction in a library of seven games. So, again, according to the Game Pass app, these games are leaving at the end of January. Telling Lies, Donut County, Worms WMD, and Taiko no Tatsujin, the Drum Master. Are you going to miss any of these games?
I thought you would know they existed to begin with. So as long as it's not like games like what's it, Wolfenstein. They got rid of Wolfenstein for a while and brought it back as of last year, so that's not bad. But games like Tekken, or if they ever bring back Tekken 6 ever for the Game Pass, but I already got that game anyway. So I guess you could say that the Game Pass is like a hit and miss. Like, it's worth having for the time being, because obviously you only fit for so many games to buy and stuff over time. But then the disadvantage is that you don't own the games from the start, and once you lose the game Ultimate Pass, whether it's the Xbox Game Pass or the Xbox Gold combined, it sucks to be you, right? But for me that is, and it's these games. I mean, they're trying to do their best to cut back on the quality of the library of their games on the Game Pass, in my perspective. I mean, if they could bring back they already have Halo 5 as part of the Game Pass, or whatever. So why not bring what's that game? Alien vs Predator 2010 or something like that. Even though it's a 360 game and such, or perhaps what other games I could think of? Hell, even bring Devil May Cry 5 for the new players. Something like that.
Well, I don't know if that would work.
Yeah, no.
Uh, unlike you, I do have experience with one of these games. That game is called Telling Lies. Um, for anyone who hasn't played it, I'll explain what it was. Basically, you see like this 30 or 40-year-old woman. She gets out of her car. She goes into her apartment. She logs onto her computer, and all of a sudden, 5 videos pop up. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to watch these videos and basically take out key terms, like pick up on names that are mentioned in the videos or pick up on terms, and then search those names, search those terms, and then you see more videos based on the names and terms that you search for, because it has its own search bar, but it only pops up 5 searches at a time. And it was actually an interesting story from what I saw. I didn't get through it all. What happened is, like, there was this guy. He had this wife and daughter. The daughter looked almost the same age as the wife, which was weird. And then he was also with this Hispanic woman because he was an activist. So it looked like he was in a having an affair with this Hispanic woman. And then there was this prostitute, and she ended up like a federal agent tried coercing her, and she ended up shooting him, which actually was streaming on Twitch, which I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna get banned from Twitch over this.
No, it's a game, so it's fine.
Luckily, I didn't. But the thing is, it's just like it's. I mean, you watch these videos, you watch these clips of videos, I should say, and basically you're trying to figure out the story, like how is this person connected to this person? How is this person connected to this person? And it was actually kind of interesting. I played it for a couple hours until I had to give up when my mind was blown, and that was like shortly after the prostitute killed the federal agent.
Kind of like 12 minutes to game.
Huh?
12 minutes to game. You ever play that one yet?
No.
Yeah, I think it's still on Game Pass last year. I played it on as part of my YouTube gameplay. And in that game, you have to figure out every single time you play through the 12 minutes, find out new clues, find out there's more of the story, why the guy at the door is keep banging on your door and stuff, what did the wife did, what the husband did, and such. So I only played 20 minutes of it, 15 minutes of it, or at least over and over. So, because I keep dying after every 2 or 3, 4 minutes. So it's kind of some new scenes, new stuff going to happen, about to happen, things that matter. But the problem with what I did is that I jumped the gun too much. I kind of like, it slowed down after a couple of times at least, not even 2, 3 times. And it takes a long time to get to the part where the guy bangs on their door and such. So,
That sounds like it might be a game. That sounds like it might be a game that Dashy played on his channel. But you said it's on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, it's called 12 Minutes to Game.
All right, I'm gonna check that out later. But I think Dashy played something like that anyway.
And what's the game that you played that you searched for again? That it's on those search type of videos and such.
Yeah, but the thing is, I just remember a game like that where like this guy comes home, and then like a couple minutes later, this guy breaks in and kills his wife, and then like when the guy leaves the apartment, he reverts back in time to just when he first got home. And basically he's like, oh no, I know that guy's coming. I know,
Yeah, that's the one. But the one that you mentioned earlier, what's the name of that game called again?
Telling Lies.
Telling Lies, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, if you want to play it, you got a few more days left. They said the game ends like the game is in real time, and like you end up going from 12 a.m. in the game to 5 a.m. in the game, and like, but anytime you're playing a video normally, like letting a video play, that counts as time passing in the actual game. So, and like you saw, like the woman has an interaction like every once hour, like you see a look behind her at 1 a.m. because like her husband or some family member of hers is getting a drink or something. So but I mean, just watching these videos and trying to find out what this what the relationships were, was pretty interesting. If you don't feel like racking your brain trying to figure it out, I have seen people put the conversations together on YouTube, where all the telling lies, because like every video is like listening to one side of a conversation. People have put it like in a split screen where both sides of the conversation are happening, so you don't have to figure who is this person talking to, but I do recommend if you still have time, play. Try Telling Lies out.
Hmm.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Next, Washington Post shutting down gaming section amid wider layoffs. Launcher won't survive the latest round of cuts at Amazon billionaire Jeff Bezos' newspaper. The Washington Post imposed more layoffs on Tuesday, just a week after owner Jeff Bezos visited its Washington, D.C. office. Among the ritual sacrifices will be Launcher, the newspaper's burgeoning gaming section, which outlinedly broke important news stories, landed big interviews, and asked the tough questions. Launcher had only just turned 3 years old last fall and was one of the few attempts by a mainstream media outlet to tackle the unwieldy world of video games in a way that wasn't condescending or misinformed. Kotaku understands that some of its team will be reassigned to other parts of the Washington Post, while the others will be laid off. Due to their union contracts, those affected will still remain employed until March 31st. 50 positions are reportedly being eliminated overall, including 30 vacancies that will go unfilled and 20 staff who will no longer have jobs. We are also eliminating currently filled positions we concluded are not essential to serving our competitive needs, Executive Director Sally Busby wrote in a memo to staff, at the same time that new hires within the company were still being announced. Bezos, who is worth over $100 billion, bought the Washington Post back in 2013 for just $250 million. His yacht is rumored to cost twice as much. Despite a boom in paid subscribers during the chaos filled Trump years, managers at the paper have reportedly been in disagreement over how to expand and grow in the years ahead. This prompted an in person visit from Bezos last week, where he maintained he was fully committed to the paper and just there to listen. We have received no clear explanation for why these layoffs had to happen, the Washington Post Guild tweeted today. As far as we can tell, they are not financially necessary or rooted in any coherent business plan from our publisher, who has said that he expects the company to be larger a year from now. The closure of Launcher comes while companies across the rest of media shed jobs as the Federal Reserve attempts to manufacture a recession to appease Wall Street investors. Games media has been hit especially hard, with recent layoffs at IGN, Game Informer, Fanbyte, GameSpot, Giant Bomb, and more. The video game industry, meanwhile, is projected by some analysis to grow to $300 billion before the end of the decade. The Washington Post did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Um, okay, so what do you think of I didn't even know the Washington Post had a section due, based on video game news, but now that part now they're getting rid of that.
Well, Washington Post is more for, in my perspective, though, it's obviously my perspective, but Washington Post is more for the serious stuff of news. They're considered to be like a right, no, not a left wing leaning news source. I've always looked at them as like the liberal part of the media, whether it's newspaper or on the internet, and they've been known for their newspapers for how many years. I never got a chance to read as much from them, but I'm very surprised too that they actually have a gaming section as well. So what they should do is like keep. I'm sure they keep it on to a couple of guys for the gaming section, and take it from there. Because yes, gaming is a popular subtopic or sorts to choose from the entertainment aspect of the news. Um, I mean, for the last several months, we've been we've seen like the quality of gaming going down a bit. So I might be doing less and less of report on the gaming news to make sure to cover up the bad side of the gaming news. You want to call it like that? But it's still going to come out there as to the public on YouTube and stuff like that, because it's how many YouTubers talk about games for how many years, like myself, for example. I mean, if they want to try to cover up, make sure people don't see the bad side of gaming, like for the last few months now with the Sakizi and all, then it's like a whatever. So
Yeah, so I mean, it's just hitting everywhere. People could say there's no reason to worry, but all these companies shedding somewhere in at the same time, it's a little too coincidental.
yeah,
You know,
at the same time too.
it's I mean, I found one article that I think I skipped. Did I read this article? The
GameSpot.
title is "Layoffs at GameSpot and Giant Bomb just months after fandom buys them."
You didn't mention that yet.
I haven't read that yet.
Nope.
Okay, yeah, I was looking for the article. I couldn't find it at first, so I must have skipped it. So we'll get to that next. Yeah, it's just so coincidental. All these layoffs are happening, and unfortunately, people were warning about this. Like this was going to happen based on how poorly the economy's been doing, um, and unfortunately, now we're starting to see the effects. My question is, what if this continues later this year?
Oh yeah.
So ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, we'll go back to the one that I had trouble finding before. Layoffs hit GameSpot Giant Bomb just months after fandom buys them. The company that owns Wikipedia acquired GameSpot, Giant Bomb, Metacritic, and more last fall. Two of the biggest outlets in games media are the latest to face layoffs. A number of editorial staff across both Giant Bomb and GameSpot revealed they'd been let go on Thursday, just months after the sites were purchased by the fandom Wiki network. The layoffs were announced during a surprise all-hands meeting with fandom CEO Perkins Miller, according to two sources familiar with the event. Roughly 40 to 50 employees were affected across the company, with at least some managers caught completely off guard by the cuts to their teams. Miller told staff that the fandom network remained profitable despite the cuts, but declined to answer any questions, sources said. Previously owned by Viacom CBS, Giant Bomb and GameSpot were both sold to Rent Ventures in 2020, which then turned around and sold them again to Fandom last October, along with Metacritic TV Guide and other sites. We're thrilled to add these powerful, authoritative brands into the Fandom platform, which will expand our business capabilities and provide immersive content for our partners, advertisers, and fans, Miller said at the time. Fandom, whose business model revolves around plastering ads over free user-generated content, is itself owned by private equity from TPG Capital. Just skipping the tweets. Giant Bomb in particular has faced a number of shakeups recently. Co-founder Jeff Gerstmann was fired last summer and went on to start a solo Patreon-funded podcast. Around the same time, former co-host Dan Rickert returned and the show expanded its roster, including more crossover with GameSpot talent. Jess Voidberger O'Brien, who became a full-time Giant Bomb member in 2021, and Jason Ostricher, who began back in 2014, were two of the people laid off today. The latest gaming media cuts come just a month after IGN faced its own surprise layoffs, as its team was preparing to cover the 2022 Game Awards. Before that, Comcast shut down its recently revived gaming network G4. Tencent gutted the staff at Fanbyte, and other sites like Game Informer, Polygon, and TechRadar cut staff members too. While the layoffs come at a time when companies from Microsoft to Amazon are reducing staff, and advertisers are slashing budgets ahead of a recession manufactured by the Federal Reserve, not everyone is feeling pain. The CEO of IGN's parent company, Vivek Shah, made roughly $16 million in 2021. TPG CEO John Winkeltried, meanwhile, earned over $80 million that same year, in addition to the hundreds of millions he raked in during his decades-long career at Goldman Sachs. Yeah. So, what do you think about Giant Bomb and GameSpot losing people?
Well, it was expected. GameSpot, I heard sites like GameSpot and IGN, even Kotaku, they've been going political for at least a good 5 years now, especially since the time of when Trump became president and all. And yes, as you get older, you talk more about politics more than ever as you get older, but you must separate the two, your workplace and work sites and stuff like that, and able to talk about games altogether too, with if you're involved in the news industry and such, as part of that sector of that news. So I guess you could say that they don't know when to to put politics properly into games properly at the same time. Because if they want to make it that political, they have to make sure it's immersive and interactive as well as understood, understandable, like it's comprehensive. But most of these people who are in the news industry of gaming and all, they don't know how to put that together properly. That's my perspective, of course. And if you can't do it, if you can't put the politics of the games together accordingly, then it's not meant to be put together. It's a trickery of a matter where you put politics and games together. You have to know when to say it, when not to say, what to say, what to do, that type of stuff. Because I used to do these videos on YouTube going about big and politics with games. Some of it can be a major turnoff to others. Others can see it's very interactive. You just basically dividing your audience. That's about it. That's the end of because the major business game, the major entities. That's what you do if you do that accordingly. But the problem though is that you're dividing your audience, and your audience hates you, and then you leave your website altogether or your channel, and that's how it is. It's you can't just just jump in there and think that you're gonna make some money off of it. It's the worst part of it of any entertainment. Mixing politics with entertainment. I mean, the only time it will work well in making for video games, if we'll put it into interactive gameplay, it's like Metal Gear Solid, and they talk about the events of 9/11 or the events of the terrorist attacks, stuff like that back in 2001 and such. I mean, that's worthy of a news article. But if you just put it in there for the sake of that one article where they talk about PlayStation 5 reviews, and now they talk about the Trump economy and and my pronouns or whatever was going on last year or two, it was during the pandemic, I believe, they did this shit, and it was either Kotaku or IGN or GameStop. I'm not sure which one of them they made that article. It was ridiculous. I was like, what's it got to do with PS5?
Yeah.
You have to understand the lingo and have to make sure people comprehend what you're saying. You can't just randomly blur out and put that in an article, and it sucks. These fellow gamers, want to call them, don't know how to put the two together properly. And if you can't do it, then give up on your job, move on, and play games by yourself, whatever. That's all. And I'll take your job, and Triple J will take your job too.
Right.
That's how it goes. Like, how is it that these people go and make how much money a year? What was it, like 50,000 as a game journalist, and you don't know how to fucking play Cuphead, the beginner's motion of it, the what's it called, the training mode and stuff? Why are you taking this money? Give me that money. I could do that shit easily.
Right. Well, I mean, not so much about GameSpot. I do have something to say about Giant Bomb, though.
Okay.
Because I used to watch Giant Bomb's videos. They also have their own YouTube channel. Sometimes I watch videos directly on their website. I'm a big fan of Alex Navarro when he reviewed games for GameSpot, and then he moved to Giant Bomb when he left GameSpot's offices. What's funny is GameSpot was going through something they called Gerstmann Gate, which involved Alex Navarro's best friend Jeff Gerstmann, and it's reported that when Alex Navarro left, he stole an Xbox 360 from the GameSpot office as he was leaving. But anyway, I guess Alex Navarro is still there. I find him entertaining. But I don't see him doing as many videos as other people on Giant Bomb. Maybe that'll change now. But yeah, it's just a shame that Giant Bomb, I've never seen them get political. I do have to say that. I've watched they did a Let's Play or a first look at WWE, I think 2K22 when it first came out.
Okay.
Or was it 2K20? I think it was 2K22 when it first came out, and it was like over an hour long, and it was 2K20. That's right. It was the Crybaby match that they went to. But anyway, they played it. They went through the whole roster. They commented on the game, on the wrestler models that looked accurate and that did not look accurate. And I've enjoyed their work. So it's a shame. I didn't see Alex Navarro's name listed as people got cut, so maybe he's still there. Um, but it's just a shame that more companies are going through these cuts, and honestly, I don't think it's going to get any better. I think this is just a sign of things to come.
I see.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, ready.
All right, next. Xbox gaming revenue down, but Game Pass subscriber base continues to grow. Xbox gaming revenue is mostly down across all fronts, but its Game Pass subscriber base still saw growth. Microsoft released its second quarter financial results for the 2023 fiscal year yesterday and revealed that Xbox gaming revenue declined 13% overall. Xbox content and services such as first-party software and monetization in third-party games declined 12%. But Microsoft notes that this decline is up against a strong prior year comparable. Given that Xbox's 2022 was lackluster compared to the prior year, this isn't surprising. However, the financial results state that 12% decline is partially offset by growth in Xbox Game Pass subscriptions. Xbox hardware revenue had also declined 13%. During an earnings call, Microsoft CEO says Nadella revealed that Xbox's monthly active users surpassed 120 million during this quarter in question, as reported by IGN. Nadella added that Microsoft is expecting another year-over-year decline next quarter due to a similar situation as this quarter. Video games sales analyst Benji Sales on Twitter offered some commentary on these financial results, stating that he's less worried about Xbox's gaming revenue and software performance, but that the decline in hardware is alarming. Quote, I'm less worried about overall gaming revenue and software performance. They are down, but that's expected considering how weak of a year Xbox had for first-party content. The more alarming thing here is hardware. This early in a generation, we really shouldn't be seeing declines. End quote. As Benji Sales and many others have noted, though, these past few quarters have been lackluster for Xbox, but 2023 is shaping up to be the Xbox Series X and S biggest year yet, with games like Redfall, Starfield, and Forza Motorsport expected to release. We should be learning more about some of these games in today's Xbox Developer Direct, and then Starfield in a Starfield-specific showcase Xbox is planning. Do these financial results surprise you?
This is regarding Microsoft at the showcase, right?
It's Microsoft basically is down across all all income streams, but their total number of subscribers on Game Pass has grown.
Oh, that's what we're talking about. I'm sorry, I thought we were talking about the showcase.
Right? No, we were not talking about the showcase. We were talking about Xbox gaming. Xbox losing revenue, but Game Pass still doing well.
Oh, okay, right. So I wasn't paying attention for a while. I was, excuse me, I haven't felt so for the last few hours, so don't mind me. But yeah.
So, to re-ask the question, do these declines in revenue surprise you? With Xbox not really releasing anything other than its console.
Yeah, Xbox is known for entertainment overall, but not for gaming. And it's been like that for how many years now, since Xbox One especially. The 360 era, obviously they have aspects of overall entertainment, but they still have the gaming core of sorts. Because after when Xbox One focused on Xbox One, when Xbox focused on Xbox One and all, that's when it starts turning into this, like, TV and TV, Snap and App, all that good stuff they had in the first couple of years or so. And by 2016, they got rid of that. So since then, it's like, what's the point of what they're trying to do now? Like, with this entertainment. So, yeah.
Well, what I'm saying, what they said in the article is that hardware sales are down, software sales are down. Basically, everything is down compared to last year, except for Game Pass numbers. Game Pass numbers are up, but a big part of that is they haven't really released anything over the last year that was first party anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, how could you make revenue off games if you haven't released them? But they did say one thing surprising is that they saw a decline in purchases of the Xbox Series console, which with a recession happening, not many people can afford a console, even if it's come down in price. And I really don't think the Xbox Series has come down in price recently. I think it's still up there. It's just more available because not hackers, people, people who buy them and then try to sell them for three times the price can't afford them all anymore because they're being, you know, we're not in the pandemic anymore.
Not to mention of the fact that well, I was about to say something about the matter with Xbox. Oh man, I just had a brain fart. As I was getting older, guys, you as I lose things, as I lose things. I'm turning to Joe Biden literally like after the last few days.
I don't know. You don't want that.
I'm like, I want to go to corn pop and all, and up against my hairy legs and whatever you want to say.
You start talking like that normally. I'm gonna need to find a new podcast host. You could sit in the corner and eat Jello.
Yes, eat Jello all day long, right? Good old Joe, Bill Cosby style, you know.
Oh God, Bill Cosby.
The American Dad. Now he's no longer an American Dad by most people.
Yeah, now he's a nightmare to most people.
Yes, the American nightmare. I'm sorry, man. I guess you can say because I don't see it. We've obviously, guys, we plan ahead of what we do. It's just that I don't see it on our list that you showed me. So I figure like I'm doing something wrong, not keeping up with what the topics are properly for the last couple of minutes now. So
Okay, well, that topic was the way it appeared on the list was Xbox gaming revenue down, but Game Pass subscriber base continues to grow. So if you see that on the list,
okay, now I see. I'm sorry, guys. So yeah, with Xbox, right? Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
they basically. I mean, look, people can't afford. Let me say what I have to say. Look, people can't afford consoles, but they're more available now. But with just getting out of the pandemic and now going into a recession, or we've already been in a recession for a while, people can't afford consoles that are $400 or $500. Heck, it's hard enough to get sales in my store, and a lot of my merchandise is cheap on Bonanza and Price Charting and Discogs. Even the cheap records aren't selling. So there's that. There's Xbox hasn't really released many first-party games recently. They've been lackluster in that. They even admit that. So that's a reason a lot of their revenue is down. But like they said, Game Pass, one thing people love is continuing to get more people.
Hmm.
So Game Pass is the only bright light recently, but that's the only thing they've really been focusing on.
And they've been cutting back on the games with gold for the last few months now. Since
Yeah,
September, October.
Games with Gold has also been a disappointment for over a year now. To be honest,
At least
They had-
4 months, from my perspective.
no, I think like honestly, I think January 2021 was the beginning of the end. Like January 2021 was when Game Pass got so disappointing, even I couldn't defend it anymore.
Right.
So, and it really hasn't gotten any better since. It's just gotten worse. Um,
I know I keep saying this from like last year or two, but I plan on moving to PC sooner or later. Not fully altogether, but like it's been an increase in free to play games on the Xbox and PS4. If you think about it, from Apex Legends, Fortnite, maybe even PUBG, if you know how to play your cards right with that matter. But these battle royale games, and also not to mention other games that started to become free to play. Now it's like, what is the point of having Xbox Gold monthly or yearly even if it's going to be free to play on the Xbox and you can play it for free on the PC too? Because I always been playing Apex Legends for at least 2 years now straight every day almost. And that's for the sake of like making money for us online with Z-Leak and all for the last few months now too. So now it's like I just use the Xbox for the sake of tournaments and training and stuff like that for Apex Legends at least. But other games like wherever I could think of the Garden Story and stuff like that. That's like an add-on from like only from like last year or two. Stuff like that. And then that's just like I got rid of just the Xbox 360 games. Now just Xbox One. That's one game every month, every other month. So it's like, who are they fooling?
Well, it's 2 games every month, but but the thing is, these games are mostly indie games.
Oh yeah.
We're not getting games like I mean, I'll even bring up Tropico 5. That was an Xbox One game. That was the only Xbox One game I can really think of that I remember games with. We got Assassin's Creed Syndicate in the past.
I got
But
Assassin's Creed 1 for the games with gold.
we got actually the Assassin's Creed trilogy. If you want to be, well, actually, those were 360. I was trying to think of Xbox One games specifically that came with Xbox games with gold that we actually like because it's mostly indie game filler.
Yes.
Nothing against indie games, but it's at a time when this is the whole product, you gotta offer something that brings the impact every month, that brings the interest. And Game Pass has not been doing that since the beginning of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got rid of the 360 games. 360 games I can name that I enjoyed. Mafia 2, I really enjoyed. Tropico 4, I still play that today. What else? Trying to think of games I've downloaded. I have so many downloaded from Game Pass right now. Like Dr. Game Zone once said, the Assassin's Creed trilogy, 1, 2, and 3.
Well, it's just the first one. The first Assassin's Creed was definitely on the games with gold. It's
I think
360.
I think all 3 were because I think I have all 3 of them.
Really? Wow. I know I got
Yes.
Assassin's Creed 3 for the 360 for our games with gold as well. Last time I checked.
I think too. I think I have all 3 originals from the games with gold.
Because I don't see it on my digital library anymore. Assassin's Creed 2 for the 360 is part of the games with gold that I had. So
I'll check mine because I'm going to watch YouTube later for your 12 minutes gameplay review, or 12 minutes gameplay rather. But also there was speaking of just Xbox games, Borderlands, the first one. That was a 360 game with gold.
yeah, Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2 for the 360. Got those two.
Borderlands 2 was also,
Yep, last time I checked for the 360 though.
yeah. Well, wow. Yeah, so they had Borderlands. So they had good games for 360, and like it was like if Xbox One failed, the Xbox One games no one cared about, you got them for something in the 360 category for games with gold. There would be at least one that might interest you, but they got rid of the 360 games. The Xbox One games continue to be whatever independent game from independent game company darling that they can get to put on games with gold, and it's just been disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
That's so I'm not surprised if games with gold revenue would be down, but that's included with Game Pass. That's probably the only reason it's surviving is it's leeching off Game Pass. Yes. So, anything else to add, or ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready to move on.
All right. Next, GoldenEye 007 hits Xbox and Switch this week. Nintendo revealed back in September that the classic Nintendo 64 game GoldenEye 007 was coming to Switch complete with online play. Microsoft announced that same day that GoldenEye 007 was coming to Xbox as well, although this version of the famed game would not feature online multiplayer like its Switch counterpart. Neither announcement added a release date, but today developer Rare revealed that GoldenEye 007 launches this week on Friday, January 27, which was yesterday. The Switch version will be available as part of Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pack membership, but you can purchase GoldenEye 007 individually on Xbox, and it will be available on Xbox Game Pass as well. I did see that earlier today. Interestingly, the Xbox version, despite not featuring online functionality, will include improved control options like dual analog stick support, native 16:9 resolution up to 4K, Ultra HD, a consistent refresh rate, and full achievement support. If you own Rare Replay on Xbox, you will gain access to GoldenEye 007 for free. Enter a world of espionage as Bond in GoldenEye 007, a press release reads. Your covert operation to stop the GoldenEye weapon satellite spans the globe. You'll infiltrate underground bases, charge through a military train, and slink around the depths of a jungle. Along the way, M will brief you on your objectives, and Q Branch will support your efforts on with an array of gadgets. But the ultimate success of this mission is yours alone. Are you playing? Do you plan to play through GoldenEye 007 this weekend?
The remake, right?
Yeah, the Xbox port.
Yeah, that surprised me. Because last time we ever had a remake version of GoldenEye was back in 2011. To also go back to the Xbox 360 and PS3 times, and that looked good, very good. And I think you're able to play online too, right? Of that version.
No, the Xbox version you can't play online.
Okay, but the remake that's coming out this month, of course, that's online playability, right?
I don't know. This is the remake we're talking about.
Well, yeah. Well, what I'm trying to say is that back 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, there was a Xbox 360 remaster slash.
No, that was a Wii version.
You sure about that? Because it was back in
Positive.
So it's Wii only, not Xbox 360.
Yeah, I never saw anyone talk about the PS3 Xbox 360 version. I only saw the Wii version, and it wasn't really even GoldenEye. They replaced Pierre Bronson with Daniel Craig, who was the current Bond at the time.
Back in 2011.
Yep.
I could have sworn that they did a Xbox 360 version of GoldenEye, and that was the port that's on TV while I was in the.
They might have been planning it for Xbox Live Arcade, but I don't think it ever came out.
It had a demo version though.
Yeah, they were planning one for Xbox Live Arcade, but I don't think that ever came out.
So the one I played back in 2011 was a demo version of it.
It was a demo, yeah.
Okay, that's what happened. So basically, it was incomplete that game, and it was not released fully. It was like Scalebound, pretty much.
Even though we won't get online multiplayer, or we don't have online multiplayer, do you plan to play through the single player campaign of GoldenEye this weekend, or?
Yeah, why not? So if it's on the Game Pass, especially, why not?
Yeah, it's on Game Pass.
Yeah, and I hope they have online, playability like they did with Perfect Dark and all for the 360, if you remember correctly, too.
I don't know. I never tried. I mean, I played the campaign in Perfect Dark. I played a few levels till I got stuck, but I don't know if that had multiplayer. But
it did.
Oh,
on the Xbox 360 back in, I would say, 2012, maybe 2010, give or take between those two dates. They actually had Perfect Dark remastered, and it has upscale graphics, good sound quality. And you're able to play online with other people too. Now it's still open, the online playability, the online gaming. Just have to find people and gather them up and play together at the same time. That's all.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never tried to play multiplayer on Perfect Dark. I like I said, I downloaded Perfect Dark off Game Pass because a lot of the Where We Play games are on Game Pass individually.
And you can tell that Perfect Dark was a spiritual successor of GoldenEye 007.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But the thing is, while I saw GoldenEye, I really don't plan to play through it, because what would have really gotten me to download it off Game Pass today would have been if it had multiplayer. I played through the single player campaign so many times on N64. I could kind of remember everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just to me, it's the single player campaign is played out. Just because I played through it so many times.
Right.
But for anyone who has an Xbox One and has Game Pass, or Where We Play digitally, you can download GoldenEye 007 for free, and you can play at least through a single player campaign.
Oh, it's for free, the game itself.
Yes.
Wow. I thought you had to pay like $20, $30 maybe,
No, it's on Game Pass if you have a Game Pass subscription, and if you own the digital version of Where We Play, not a physical version. If you own the digital version of Where We Play, you can also download GoldenEye for free.
Perfect. That's something good. It's just as good as the Xbox 360 demo version.
Yes, I mean, they brought up the Xbox Live. A YouTuber brought up the Xbox Live Arcade version, but as far as I could tell, that hasn't never seen the light of day.
Okay, so well, what I played back then was the demo version. Okay.
So, anything else to add, or ready to move on?
I just want to say that I have a copy of it too myself of the original 007 GoldenEye game, and I have fond memories of it. One time I went to a person's barbecue, just some kids barbecue. It was for the family, with a family barbecue, and we were invited, my mom and I, and like at least like I would say about five of us were in the room. At least five of us. He had a nice sized big room. This guy, and we played like 007 for hours on end, and then we played WWF Attitude for the PS1. All it was perfect. It was a perfect experience. I should have kept on to those guys' numbers or asked them for their gamer tag. It was like it was 2000, it was 1998, 99, give or take. So I didn't think about asking them for their phone numbers at the time. Because everyone had some people had cell phones at my high school and all. I was like in 2005. So, but yeah, it was a good experience that moment. I should have kept on to their some kind of like contact information of them, like email or something. But I never thought about having the email until like 2004. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's I wish I could go back to the past and talk to those kids again. It was a good experience. I felt like, calm, quiet, cool, collected, and had a good time. We laughed, we drank soda and stuff. It was like, man, I wish I could have that experience again. But you don't see that anymore because everyone's all over the world now. Everyone's like have their busy time schedule as adult gamers now. You're lucky, like you and I, what we're doing right now. We're lucky to have doing this part because we have some kind of time on our hands through our businesses and stuff. So, thank goodness, right? But if we were to work full-time work like I did back in 2011, I mean, it was like a big difference. I was probably getting almost like 3 hours of gaming a night if I'm lucky. If I'm lucky.
Yeah. When I worked full time, 2010, 2014, sometimes there were some nights some weeknights I didn't play games at all because I was so tired from work.
Yeah, if you have coffee on your side, it'll be a good enhancer.
Even with coffee, because like I'd just be mentally exhausted from work. Sometimes I took a cab home from Rockville Center to Valley Stream.
So that cost you $20 right there.
Yeah, something like that. But it was sometimes the bus didn't come. It was like 5. I got off at 5. It was 5:30. The bus still hadn't come, or I was just like I said, so mentally exhausted. I just wanted to get home so I could lay down.
Yeah, and I met you on the over by the Long Island buses on over by Park Avenue area back in 2014, 2015, give or take. I was actually there for for a meeting, not a meeting like a professional job related meeting of sorts. I can't remember the exact thing I was doing back then, but it was definitely had to go to like Suffolk County and take the bus and then whatever I was doing exact. I don't remember the exact job was, but it has to be somewhere either in the eastern part of Nassau County or the Suffolk County itself. So I had to take like 3 buses to get there. So I met you over there. So that was a pretty good experience.
And another thing, when Dr. Games 101 didn't have email, I kind of played a joke on him. Survivor Series from WWE would be on that night, or Royal Rumble, whatever. And I would tell Dr. Games 101, this is before he had internet and email himself. I'd be like, hey, I found the spoiler results. And then like he would let me read them, and then I'd be reading like the 1987 Survivor Series results.
Yeah, the only time I can see wrestling news or whatever, or anything like that's under our guys, that's what we want to watch on the internet, is at school, and they have restrictions as well with the school content as well. You can't go on, the usuals, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it can also can't download music because Napster and all was censored by the school and all.
But do you remember that Dr. Games 101? Like I'd tell you, like Survivor Series happened to me on tonight, and I'd tell you I found the spoilers or like the plans from WWE, and then I'd start reading you the 1987 Survivor Series results.
Yeah, I was excited.
And like I said, he didn't have internet, he didn't have email, so how's he gonna find out?
Not yet. I don't use a computer at all, but I was like Bill Clinton. I don't use email,
And then it was funny. It'd be like Hulk Hogan defeats Bam Bam Bigelow, and Dr. Games 101 would be like, "What are you talking about?"
Bam Bigelow was defeated by Rey Mysterio in the 2000. That's what I like about Rey Mysterio. You still see my poster behind me every time I make a video on YouTube. I'll be like showing off Rey Mysterio poster because he was the guy who defeated Bam Bam Bigelow with his high flying moves and shit like that. And his finisher was the Hurricanrana pin. And he was like 1, 2, and Bam Bigelow started shaking off and trying to kick out whatever, but he couldn't. He was too heavy for himself. It was pretty awesome right there. I was like, that's fucked up. And Bam Bigelow was pissed that night. I think he tried to track that Rey Mysterio after that. This is one time when he was unmasked. Like he had no mask on. Rey Mysterio.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He looks weird that way.
Yeah, he had a special eyewear, the contact lenses too, as for the last few years now. So that's pretty cool.
All right, so ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, next. Redfall release date confirmed for May 2 as lots of new gameplay footage debuts. Arcane's upcoming vampire hunting first-person shooter gets a release date and lots of new footage. As part of the Xbox Developer Direct event today, Microsoft showcased Arcane's new vampire hunting first-person shooter Redfall and announced its release date. Redfall will launch on May 2nd, 2023, which is a date that leaked a while ago. Redfall was originally set for release in 2022 before it got pushed to 2023 alongside Starfield. As for the new gameplay footage, Arcane treated fans to a new look at the island of Redfall, Massachusetts, the fictional setting for the game. The new gameplay video showed off the fire station, which is a safe haven where players can take on new quests. One of the quests has players trekking to a lighthouse and fighting off vampires on the way there. A vampire type on display in the video was the Shroud, a menacing creature that looks challenging to take down. Taking down vampires angers the vampire gods, who then summon a different type of vampire to hunt players down. Also on display is in the Redfall gameplay video was how players can approach combat scenarios in a multitude of ways which should feel familiar to fans of Arcane's previous games. Arcane also discussed some of the weapons players can find and use in Redfall, including traditional military-style weapons and fantastical weapons. This being a vampire game, players can also find stakes in the wall to attach to their weapons to put down the vampires. Redfall is the biggest, most ambitious game the studio has ever created, the team said. So, are you excited for Redfall?
Oh yeah, Triple J. I look at first. The first time I looked at it, I was okay. It looks not bad, but now I'm starting to see the gameplay of it. It's a mixture of good and bad at the same time, simultaneously. How should I say this? Imagine playing one of the best horror games of like 2023, right? But in its Xbox 360 style type of graphics. That's how I get from Redfall. It was kind of like that feeling. It was like not a cop out, but it was like a carbon copy of like what a horror shooters are like, back in the 2000s on like Alien vs Predator, and then what's it called, Fatal Frame and all that type of stuff. So
okay, yeah, I'm interested in this game. I'll definitely stream it if it's Xbox One compatible on Game. I think it's coming on Game Pass, but I don't know if it'll be installable for people who have base Xbox Ones. But if it is, I'll definitely be streaming it, checking it out on stream one night, or Let's Play, depending, depending how many people stream it. I don't want my stream to just get lost in a sea of hundreds others.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely plan to check out Redfall. It sounds like a game that would be interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Alright, next. Microsoft confirms Xbox showcase this summer in LA, but doesn't mention E3. Microsoft is also cooking up a Starfield-specific showcase in the time ahead. Following the Xbox Developer Direct event this week, Microsoft confirmed that it will have multiple other upcoming showcases in the future. These will include the previously announced Starfield Deep Dive presentation and an event in Los Angeles this summer. Starfield wasn't included in the Developer Direct, so Microsoft and Bethesda could dedicate the proper amount of time to it. As for the summer showcase, Microsoft said, our teams are working hard and look forward to sharing even more of what is next for our fans when we return to Los Angeles for our yearly showcase this summer. Microsoft did not mention E3 by name, but the company is historically known to host its own Xbox showcase as part of the big show. With E3 coming back this year, it seems likely Microsoft is referring to its E3 showcase, but nothing is confirmed at this stage. Presumably, the Starfield showcase will take place before the Xbox event this summer, but we don't know that for sure as of yet. Starfield is poised to be one of Xbox's biggest games, if not the biggest, of 2023. Fans have been waiting a while for it, as the game was originally set for release in November 2022 before shifting to 2023 alongside Arcane's Redfall. The game is now dated for May 2nd. E3 2023 is scheduled for June 13th through the 16th under new management by ReedPop, the group that organizes PAX and Star Wars Celebration, among other events. For more, check out GameSpot's rundown of everything we know about E3 2023. The Xbox Developer Direct event brought news of the release date for Redfall and Minecraft Legends, along with new footage and details about the next Forza Motorsport game. Additionally, out of nowhere, Tango Gameworks announced Hi-Fi Rush, a rhythm action game releasing today, January 25th, on Xbox Game Pass and PC. Do you think the showcase they're talking about is E3, or it's going to be an independent showcase?
Well, after the 2020 of E3 that's supposed to happen, but got canceled due to the pandemic, people started to see that they could do their own entity of programs and specials during the E3 time. And, like, obviously E3 for the last God knows how many decades up until 2020, it was like the Super Bowl, almost like the Super Bowl of gaming news and such. You want to think about that. But after 2020, people started to see, like, hey, we are Nintendo, we are Bethesda, we are Ubisoft. We can make our own showcase and things that matter, and they did between 2021 and 2022. So it's kind of like, why not? Why should we have to go through E3 to have our own little promos and advertisements and other projects for the people at large that are looking at our content or our videos and such? So I guess you could say is that E3 may maybe go away to Dodoberg, not completely, but will be eventually, and over time, it's going to be a little less and less relevant as time progresses. So hopefully by the next decade, E3 will be like a shell of its former self completely, and that's it. The Microsoft and Ubisoft and you name it, like these entities, these gaming companies, these game studios, these gaming projects don't have their own little program for the time of E3, which is happening to in June of every year. So that's perfect. I like that kind of. I would say I love it, but I don't mind it. It's okay that for it to happen the way it's going to help the gaming community at large, whether it's developers, gamers, or both, investors, interest, people who are into know more about products and services from gaming. It's a good way to network with other people, but on a smaller scale and a specific scale too. But E3 supposed to be this not larceny, but the grand head honcho of it all, supposed to be this huge enchilada of all enchiladas to come together as gamers, developers, you name it, to display our products, display the tournaments maybe, or any of that sort. That's how I think of it as. So, more power to the smaller, companies,
Alright, honestly, I have to disagree with you. I think this is E3 that they're talking about, because keep in mind, E3 is going to be in person for the first time since 2019. Okay. 2020 was, I think, all digital. I think 2021 was all digital, and then 2022 was just outright canceled, if I'm not mistaken. So I think Microsoft is coming back to E3 just because this showcase and the time E3 is scheduled to take place, it's just so close together. They don't need E3, but I think since people can return to E3, if it draws a big crowd those 3 days, I think the showcase will be happening at E3. We don't know for sure, but if I had to venture a guess on it, that would be my guess, that they just haven't mentioned they're going to be at E3, but it's going to be in the same place around the same time that E3 is happening. So, Dr. Games 101 thinks it's just going to be a single person or a single company showcase. I think it's going to be part of their E3 presentation.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's a divide up like a event within an event within an event. If you think about it, like you got Nintendo, you got Sony, you name it, all these people coming together, not literally in a physical form on like E3, whatever, in what's called California or in Florida, wherever the locations are, New York even, but also online via online service. With an audience at their local studios. You know what I'm saying? Like last year, for example, with I think it was Bethesda, or was it the year before, if I remember correctly? Right? That's
So
like
last
that.
year E3 was canceled completely,
Okay.
but that's the thing. And the 2 years before that, it was only digital. So this is going to be like the first time people are allowed to come to a convention like that. So I think Microsoft has to hit it out of the gate because they've admitted themselves, the higher ups, Xbox has been lackluster, at least in the first party department. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so they got as far as games go. So they got to literally have maybe even a couple of headliners, two, three, four big projects. Redfall, Starfield, Forza Motorsport. It sounds like they're gonna have a, a whole handful of big announcements for games coming this June.
Oh yeah.
Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
I'm ready to move on.
All right, just a few more stories.
I understand.
Next, Road 96 Mile Zero prequel arrives in April. A prequel to the critically acclaimed Road 96 is coming. Developer DigitArt and publisher Ravenscourt announced Road 96 Mile Zero will launch on April 4th for PC, PS4, PS5, Switch, Xbox One, and Xbox Series. It is a prequel to the game Road 96. Road 96 Mile Zero follows Zoe, one of the main characters in the first game, and a character named Kato from DigioArt's first game, Lost in Harmony, who comes from the downtrodden Colton City. Zoe herself comes from a rich family as her father works as the Minister of Oil. The two characters form a friendship, and the game will explore the events leading up to the story of Road 96. The game is a narrative adventure with musical elements. Players will experience psychedelic musical rides, a mix of different rhythm-based gameplay, and narrative choices that will shape how the story unfolds. In Road 96 Mile Zero, we wanted to show where Zoe is coming from and why she left her comfortable life, said Jon Fenny, CEO of DigioArt, in a press release. But we didn't create Mile Zero in a conventional way. We went the crazy route using metaphorical musical sequences where you ride along on the beliefs and doubts of Zoe and Kato. The funny part is that you choose how you want them to evolve. In GameSpot's Road 96 review, we said, it's a shame that Road 96's great character writing is stuck within such restrictive framing, even if many of its most memorable dialogue sequences only work given that the premise has allowed for this assortment of personalities to intertwine. Have you played any of Road 96?
I never really heard of this game before, to be honest with you, until tonight. Till today, actually, specifically. I never
Really?
saw
I thought we talked about it before.
Road 96. That specific name. I don't remember.
Road 96. Yeah, it's even on Game Pass.
Wow. I guess you could say I missed that one because I don't check the Game Pass list as I used to. I remember
Well, I think we talked about it in previous podcast episodes.
yeah, like 2 years ago maybe.
Probably, yeah.
That's why. Now, our memory capacity as humans, it's like it gets smaller and smaller as we get older. So you may feel like you know everything about the world, like at 21 years old, but then as it gets older and older, you like turn into this like smaller world of knowledge and time and stuff. So it's kind of like your being is solidified little by little. So it's kind of like that. Like I'm not really I know things, yes, but it's not like something like I know like something from like 500 years ago because I studied it or whatever.
Okay. Well, one reason I love doing this podcast every 2 weeks is it helps me keep up on gaming news myself for games that I would be interested in or games I think Dr. Games 101 would be interested in.
Oh yeah.
And Road 96 was one of them. I have played it. I haven't finished it because it's like five different routes. Basically, for people who haven't played the game,
Hmm.
you're trying to escape an authoritative city. A city is under authoritarian control. I don't know if that's the right word.
Authoritative rule, if you want to put it like that.
Authoritative rule, and you're trying to escape basically. Um, and you know some and they it seems like there's five different stories because some people like the first person that they had me control, I made it no problem, and then like the third person I controlled, um, I got caught. So
Hmm.
it's not like everyone succeeds even if you make the same kind of choices for all five characters.
Yeah.
um, and different things can happen. Um, like robbers impeded my progress more than once. Um, like they were in one campaign and then they appeared in another campaign. They were the ones who got me caught because if I didn't do what they wanted, they would have blown my head off. And then so I had to help them mob a building. And then when the alarm got tricked, I got trapped, and they bailed. So um,
Hmm.
Road 96, it's on Game Pass. It's a good game. I haven't returned to it, unfortunately. I do have it on my Xbox One currently. Um, but yeah, it's getting a prequel basically.
I see.
And honestly, I think they could do more prequels or even more sequels. I don't know. I haven't checked their DLC, but you know, honestly, yeah, give backstory to these characters before the events of the game.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, Road 96. It's in April. This prequel is coming. If you've played all of Road 96, there'll be more coming. Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
Yeah, I see it on the Game Pass right now for Road 96, but the Battle Zero's not out yet. As you can see, it's currently not available. So now I'll look
Right, but
into it further.
the main game is already out.
Yeah.
All right, ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, next, Xbox Game Pass in January 2023. Hi-Fi Rush, GoldenEye 007, and more. Now that's more like it. If you tuned into Xbox's Developer Direct on January 25th, you already know about Hi-Fi Rush Shadow dropping on Xbox Game Pass after the presentation ended. But that's not all. Xbox has also now confirmed every game hitting the service before the end of the month, and a few more for the start of February as well, including Hot Wheels Unleashed, GoldenEye 007, Age of Empires 2, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R, Grid Legends, and more. Games to already hit Game Pass this month include Persona 3 and 4, alongside Monster Hunter Rise and Stranded Deep. For now, here's everything coming to Xbox Game Pass in January of 2023. Hi-Fi Rush is available on Xbox Game Pass right now. Tango Gameworks' next game is Hi-Fi Rush, a rhythm adventure game under development exclusively for the Xbox Series as coming out tonight. Announced during the Xbox Developer Direct Showcase, the trailer revealed a bombastic comic-like art style, original tunes, and rhythm-based movement and combat. Tango Gameworks has already released the game, including on Xbox Game Pass, and you can install it right now if you want to. Alright, so here's everything coming in January of 2023.
Hmm.
Stranded Deep came out on the 3rd. Persona 3 Portable and Persona 4 Golden came out on the January 19th. Monster Hunter Rise came out on the 20th. Hi-Fi Rush came out on the 25th. GoldenEye 007 came out yesterday on the 27th. RoboQuest, just a preview, will be coming out on the 30th, exclusively to console Game Pass. Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition will come out the last day of January, available only on the console and the cloud. Inculadati will come out the last day of January, just on the console and PC. And JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R will come out to all three Game Pass services on the last day of January. Bonus games we know about for February on Game Pass. Darkest Dungeon 2 will come out to all three services on February 2nd. Grid Legends will come to the cloud through EA Play on February 2nd. And Hot Wheels Unleashed Game of the Year Edition will come to all three services on February 7th. Persona 3 Portable and Persona 4 Golden on Xbox Game Pass. After January 19th, Persona 3, 4, and 5 will all be available for Game Pass members on console, PC, and cloud gaming. This was initially announced back at Xbox's Summer Showcase, and we have since seen Persona 5 Royal enter the service in October of 2022. That I've actually played Persona 5 one time. Everything leaving Game Pass in January 2023. This Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc, Nobody Saves the World, Paparazzi, The Anacrusis, We Happy Few, Windjammers 2, Donut County, Taiko no Tatsujin, The Drum Master, Telling Lies, and Worms WMD. Xbox and Bethesda Developer Direct, January 2023. The Xbox and Bethesda Developer Direct for January 2023 aired earlier today as Microsoft adds partners shared updates on games including Redfall, The Elder Scrolls Online, Forza Motorsport, Minecraft Legends, and more. Read more here to learn about everything announced at today's event, including brand new release dates for Minecraft Legends and Redfall, and more. So, does any of the news coming from about Game Pass interest you? Any of the new games you didn't know yet?
Well, I heard of Ink Illuminati. I made a video of it earlier this week or last week. I saw the trailer of that game, Ink Illuminati. It looks good. Talking about medieval style type of gameplay and theme gameplay, you want to call it. And I don't mind games to be coming out like this, of course, but they're incomplete. So I did it, like I said, my take on the incomplete games on at that time with the video. I was a little upset about it because why for the last several years now they try to do these game previews, early access games, knowing that they're not complete yet and they have bugs and fixtures that need to be improved on, rather than just make a demo, if not a beta testing. Do that instead. But I like to have a full game when I first buy it. So. That's just one of those games, of course. But the other stuff you mentioned, the other games, why not? Why not play those games? So that too.
Yeah, the games that we haven't announced, talked about already in particular, because we did mention games that were leaving Game Pass and stuff. There was nothing announced here specifically that I really cared about. I played, like I said, I played Persona 5. I haven't played 3 or 4. I played 5 once. Yeah, so I mean, GoldenEye's coming, but like I said, I've played that campaign so much, I basically memorized the whole campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not really the multiplayer. If there was online multiplayer, that would have brought me. I would have downloaded GoldenEye today. So now it's just maybe if I get curious enough. But yeah, so this game. So I just have to say, with this announcement, with the games that are coming, none of the ones that we didn't know about before I read this article, I'm not at all interested in.
Right.
Anything else to add, or ready to move on to the last story?
Yeah, let's move on. Save the best for last, right?
All right. Last story coming up. GoldenEye 007 controls on Switch are wildly unintuitive. What is this? What even is this? After years languishing in apparent legal limbo, the fan favorite N64 GoldenEye 007 has finally come to modern consoles. The developer of the original game, Rare, has since been acquired by Microsoft. So both the Nintendo Switch and Xbox console received the game simultaneously as part of some kind of 007 custody agreement. Unfortunately, like many divorces, one parent has their shit together and the other one clearly doesn't. The Switch default controls are, in a word, terrible. I wasn't sure if I would replay the entire game from my youth, but I liked the idea of at least revisiting it on a handheld, so I fired up the Switch version first. I started the dam level and figured I'd find my bearings as I explored. Immediately, I moved right in front of a guard and mashed buttons wildly until I found the one that shot him. I crossed the bridge awkwardly, dispatched a few more guards, and then found myself staring up at the sky, somehow. I made it through the stage mostly by just hip-shotting my way through legions of Russian guards thanks to the generous aim assist of Agent, aka Easy Mode. You see, on Switch the default controls are virtually the exact opposite of every single thing you'd expect. The left stick looks and moves forward and backward, and the right stick strafes and looks. The D-pad also strafes. Either shoulder button aims down sights, but only the ZL button fires your weapon. The ZR button, this one you traditionally imagine firing a gun, does absolutely nothing. The B button reloads and opens doors, and the A button changes weapons. X looks up, and Y strafes left for some reason. What is this? What even is this? I briefly cycled through the other control options, but they were all different flavors of bad. The core problem seems to come down to the ZR button simply being off limits for button mapping. The game is running an N64 emulator, so it's assuming you're using an actual N64 controller and mapping the switch buttons to specific N64 inputs. As a result, every control configuration has to place the fire button on ZL or a face button and then organize the rest of the controls around that. Maybe these controls, the ones that feel like they were designed as as a part of some cruel social experiment on gamers, are actually reminiscent of the one found on the original N64. I don't know. Frankly, I don't want to know. The Nintendo 64 controller was a bizarre three-uttered monstrosity by itself, so of course a modern controller doesn't map clearly onto its interface. The real question is, why would you even try? For the sake of curiosity, I went ahead and downloaded it onto my Xbox as well, and to my shock, it works just fine. The buttons are mapped to the places you would imagine they would be mapped to. I changed my weapon by tapping the Y button. I aimed down sights and shot using the correct shoulder button. It's a little clunky as you'd probably expect from a modern port of a very old game, but it functions. Compared to the Switch port, it's Call of Duty. This is a weird, backwards, hacky way to get modernish controls into GoldenEye 007 on Switch. That option wasn't available to me as the button remapping wasn't available on my Split Pad Pro controller. I wouldn't fault for anyone trying it out, especially if the Switch is your only option and you're aching for that sweet nostalgia. Switch is also the only one with online multiplayer, so you'll need to find some kind of acceptable solution if you want to frustrate your faraway friends by picking Oddjob in every match. But if you have a choice and don't mind the lack of online play, just do yourself a favor and play the Xbox version. It may not be as accurate to the original, but it feels correct. No extra work or hoops required. Yeah, RGT85 also talked about this. He also mentioned how bad the Switch controls are, how mapping any method that you try to map to the Switch doesn't work. Dr. Games 101, what do you think about this?
Well, Nintendo Switch is known for its portability and also for the good IPs they have: Mario, Zelda, Earthworm Jim, and even Metroid. But the downside to them for the last God knows how many years now is their power of their console is not as good. It's not that great and all. So, also the fact that the utility aspect of the or the accessories of the system are not as on par. It may feel comfortable, may feel a little bit like whatever to some people, but after a while playing it over and over, pressing that hard A, pressing that strong directional pad, all along with the analog pads and all, after how many months later, it just turned to crap, I hear. And it's just like that of the Nintendo 64 controls, because after how much pressure you put on these controllers, it starts to give way of its quality. Like, it's just not as good as it once was when it came out of the package. So games and systems like that of, let's say, PlayStation 2, whatever, those are durable to some degree if you know how to play your cards right. But that's back then, of course, how many decades ago, But with Nintendo Switch and all, it's like with the controls and the adaptability of the matter, it's like, it's a hit and miss. It's all that great. So it was expected that on the GoldenEye version of the Switch version of GoldenEye will not be as on par because it's not as powerful. So
they're not saying it's on par. They're just saying the controls are a complete mess and there's no way to change it.
That's Switch for you.
Yeah. Well, again, they're trying to map an N64 controller to a Switch controller or the Switch Joy-Cons or.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so I mean that's one thing. At least on Xbox One, the controls may take a little getting used to, but you'll find your bearings in the first level. You'll probably assume where most of the buttons are correctly on the Xbox One. Um, like I said, or like the article said, the only downside to the Xbox One is it doesn't have online multiplayer.
Oh yeah.
Maybe they'll add that in later if they can through a patch.
Hmm.
I would love that. But at if but like they said, unless you're playing multiplayer, just do yourself a favor and save it on and get it on a different console. Unless the Switch is the only console you have that's modern.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's there's good point, there's drawbacks and advantages of both. But
Hmm.
if you really can't play the game because the controls suck, how good is the online version going to be?
Yeah.
And that's the end of this podcast. I hope you enjoyed joining me for this podcast. Follow me if you did. The next episode will be on Saturday, February 11th. We'll plan to start at 9 p.m. Eastern, like we always do. Um, I do plan to the next day I plan to stream will be Tuesday. Not sure what game I'll be playing. That'll be January 31st, around 10:15 p.m. Eastern. I'll be starting Doctor Games 101. You got anything you want to bring up before we go?
Yeah, I just want to say to the general audience between our two audiences that me personally, I know I haven't been made as much videos as I used to for the last month now. I've been busy with Z League, so if you want to play with me on Z League to team up, whatever, or to earn some credits at the same time, refer to my referral link on my recent YouTube videos at youtube.com/, Dr. Games 101B. At Dr. Gates 101B actually, so it should be too hard to find my channel there, and you'll see a referral link to Z League for like 500 credits. I'm not an official sponsor of Z League, but I do use their services, and they gave me the opportunity to share you guys the experience. So feel free to join me in that. But I'll do my best to also make some more videos as time progresses over the next couple of weeks or so, hopefully. So.
Uh, all right. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Follow me if you did. Check the about section of my Twitch profile. There's a link to my BitChute channel. There's a link to my Bonanza store where I sell records, video games, and old Game Informers. And hopefully, I'll see you when I stream again on Tuesday night, January 31st. Until then, good night, everyone.
See you guys later. Goodbye.